We've done a TriCast before. You and I, Alfama, did it with Nick all the way back in Manchester. So it's nice to welcome you on here now with Jesse. You bring a flavor to the analyst desk that I think will be great here for live casting. Let's load ourselves into BDS versus Ninjas in Pajamas. One of these teams will go to the main stage. One will go home. Will we say goodbye to our second Brazilian team today?
Well, Parker, that'll be the question. BDS would be the first European team knocked out as well if they do not manage to win this series. So lots on the line for both teams. BDS in particular have failed to make top 8 in their last 5 international events. That includes that Wolves roster that we used to see them playing under. So really is going to be a lot of expectations. It's been a while since we've seen this team really perform at the highest level.
Yeah, and talking to Liloun about the project, she feels like it is a completely, entirely different project as the Wolf roster, completely rebuilt around a new style of IGLing in English, new players as well. And I think a lot of expectations came with bearing the name of BDS as well. They had a terrible year, let's be honest. They struggled in EML, they struggled and didn't make EWC. That is, for me, a moment of salvation. If they can make it to the main stage, then they prove this roster actually has potential.
Yeah, a lot of doubters, I think, in EU and internationally looking at this squad. Parker and I have had the privilege of casting a lot of BDS games, and I've been really pleasantly surprised with how good this team has looked in a lot of their moments. We've seen some excellent drone game coming in, and we've seen Robbie really pop off in some big moments, so I'm hoping we can see more of that here today. Quickly on the operator bands, looks like nothing crazy at all defensive side. 2 electricity bands. We're always focused on the wall when it comes to Clubhouse. These hacker bands, kind of interesting. We get the Monty and the Ying. Very rare to see a Ying band on Club.
Let's revisit the operator bands in a second, but do you think that the way that we talk about these two teams is a little interesting, right? Jesse, you and I watched NIP in SAL. They barely made it to this event and have struggled every single step of the way, but now they find themselves in the same position as BDS. But we use such flowery and positive language to describe BDS here at this event. We haven't really said the same about Ninjas in Pajamas. Do you think after those 2 NA victories over both Space Station and Shopify Rebellion, we can finally start to give NIP their proverbial flowers?
Well, I think as the NA casters, we'd have to be a little bit of haters to not give them their flowers after what they've done in this tournament. It didn't start off so great. They went 0-2 in the best of ones. They didn't have a strong tournament, but neither did Furia to start things off, and we saw how that went.
I love the fact that we had actually coming into this event low expectations for both of these rosters. I mean, on one hand, you've got the worst EML seed, on the other one, the worst SAL seed. One of these teams will make main stage, and one of them will surprise everyone.
Going to be starting off with a potentially explosive round from Cons as he gets right into Secret. There are roamers that have just walked to the top floor. That's Frack at the top of the red stairs. Watch out for him if this does end up being a fast push. Could end up having a big flank, but NIP, despite initially getting into the bomb site or into the map pretty quickly, they have stalled out a little bit. I think worried about this roamer. Yeah,
we can see Cons abusing the shields, right? It's his role. They're cutting off. They try to cut off the Jaeger here. It's always a tricky one for NIP. They crush on those shields a better. That's why I'm not surprised to see the Mountie ban. I actually expected a second shield to be banned, and that gives enough space to Cons. And actually, I don't know if you saw, but he was thinking about the Blackbird and moved on to the Blitz. I think he will really abuse those shields the entirety of the map. It can be really strong on Clubhouse, especially facing that rush, that roam.
Nah, one of my favorite quotes from Cons during the regular season was that he hates playing shields, but he just thinks they're so good in the meta, and he is so good at playing them that he understands it's a job that has to be done. Certainly looking really good for his team on those.
After their very first day, Cons was the lowest rated player at the entire event. He's obviously turned that around since. It has been done better, as all of NIP has, frankly. The one player that we always like to talk about is whether Fantasy does well. Well, you referenced it in the previous matchup that when Palu does well, if he goes positive or even, W7M will go on to likely win the map. The same can be said for Fantasy. They tend to lose the rounds where Fantasy does very poor.
Now, this is a very interesting play. You can see P4 juggling with this Valkyrie camera. His role here as the Lurk is going to be able to backstab the team of NIP when they go for the execute. He's waiting for it, but at the same time, you can see Wizard. Wizard is depicted as the Rook by the desk. He's there as the flank watch. He's going to make sure that Valkyrie doesn't go up. It's going to be a 1v1, very interesting, because this is the main win condition for BDS. The rest of the setup, as a turtle, doesn't look too far, and look, this was won by Fantasy. It was fully expected by NIP. Really well played here.
P4 had a great run just a couple days ago and has been one of the better players statistically for BDS, which usually does not bode well. On his role, he's not the guy that you expect to be getting all these opening picks and winning the duels against the best of the best. And NIP has some pretty heavy hitters on it. What are they able to pull off now? 35 seconds to go, and their assault was looking towards that church wall. Dealing with the mute jammer on the other side as electricity has been completely banned out, so you have no choice but to run the mute if you want to keep that wall intact. And right now, the defense from BDS doing effective jobs at cutting down this utility, but the guns on Nip so good. Hates battling his way through. Frack converts you the last two standing, and Frack will need to clutch the round, but he won't get anything. Nobody will. Nip, a flawless start to Clubhouse.
Perfect setup. I mean, the room clear, I don't know what you think. Very clear, very efficient. Evan almost cut off the head of Frack there when he dropped to the garage. After that, the flank watch is there. They get the first pick like this. And after that, just a simple hard breach onto the church wall, and we collapse. One from Blue, one from the hallway, two from Moto. Perfect setup, and that's a classic church take, perfectly executed by NIP.
Yeah, and Hates hitting every shot that he needed to, walks down those main stairs as the Habana. He's used all his utility at that point. They took a lot of time on the early game, but that's what NIP like to do. They're often thought of as like one of the slowest teams in South America, but they do such a good job with those executes when they can get properly set up. Hates a fantastic play coming through here, maybe a supportive operator of the Habana, but willing to flex onto any operator that he needs to for his team. The second most ops played here at the tournament and gets the job done on a frag roll.
Now we can already see BDS trying to adapt to that with that Jim bomb side, bringing on the Clash to try and face the shields, and good luck to them. Cons will go off that shield. They will probably attack that with the Capitao. I think we're looking at, once again, mostly a default take. If I remember the way NIP loves to play this, they will go on server side and trying to problem pose the cash player with Fantasy on Deimos from downstairs, and after that collapse to the bomb side. The turtle setup on the side of BDS is very strong. The fact that Mira is open, Azami is open, Clash is open, makes the turtle setup very viable here.
Yeah, bringing out that Clash, not something we often see from Lasmo, but if anybody grabs it, it is usually him. Historically, he plays the Goyo on this site, so Frack will then pick up the Goyo, and then that kind of leaves the Warden not being brought on this, which we would typically see on a BDS gym bedroom defense. Not really going to be exploited on the NIP side, but they've got a couple of smokes with the Capitao, so they could come back to bite them in the end.
I'm anticipating with that server push that it's going to be basically the win condition of that round. If they can cut off these players, and the first opening kill for Frack, aggressive on Jim window. That's what we expect from this guy.
It's Capitao down, good utility eliminated. No smokes remain on the side of Ninjas in Pajamas, so if they were hoping for some concealment or even some area denial, you'll have to rely on other operators to do that. You've got area denial in the hands of the Deimos with those two frag grenades, but Fantasy's job will likely be elsewhere, fighting on the other side of the map as you guys talked about. So how much will Fantasy be able to impact the direct push should he stay alive? Burned a minute now into this round, and BDS has that advantage.
Losing that Capitao is really tough. When you're facing a Clash here, you're going to have to find a way to problem solve that in any other way, and you really don't want to face that.
Yeah, looking at the lineup right now, they might even just be deciding, like, wait, we might just have to give up this part of the map. They do have the lobby hatch open. We saw them working on Jacuzzi as well. And with these air jabs, I mean, they do have the ability to stop somebody from pushing out, taking that CC window. That would usually be the risk. If you don't clear this side of the map, you're over on highway. But that's going to be a great push by Fantasy. He finds the back of the Clash.
Classic hammer and nail scenario here with the flank watch being the bait. If Fantasy walks in from construction, gets that pick, they get the control that they needed in that scenario. They can now overwhelm the bomb site from any angle. Office, construction, Jacuzzi, and the windows. It's looking really grim for BDS right now.
They've still got those windows controls outside too, with diffuser in hands for Cons. As they go on upside down rappel and look to narrow down these final defenders who've now lost complete control of this bomb site and have forced their way back. Oh my, into Logi and on the stairs. Down goes Frack at the hands of Pino. That's a gorgeous shot outside of the building. And a 4v2 as Nip look to overwhelm these remaining defenders. Don't count out BDS just yet. Robbie leading this team in terms of kills, in terms of rating. He's still very much up, but he's searching for his first kill.
This would be a big moment for Robbie if he can come alive. They don't necessarily know where he is, and he gets the first, but he's got to do it all and just can't find it, Parker. There's no way for him to find that many players. NIP too well coordinated during the execute.
And once again, it's Fantasy here, finding the gap. That construction wall being open, it basically creates a gap for him to go back and backstab that Clash, then opens the entirety of the bomb site. And afterwards, I want you to pay attention to the 3-2-1 execute that we just witnessed. You said it, Parker, there was a way that 2v4 could work out of the way of BDS because they were in off angles. But the thing is, when NIP coordinate that execute, it's 3-2-1, we go together. If one dies, the trade happens. Once again, clear default take from NIP. And once again, doing it in attack on a map that's not necessarily easy to attack either.
Yeah, especially for NIP. I mean, they're coming in. They've played a lot of Clubhouse here at the Munich Major 3 times already. They lost 3-7 to W7M, 3-7 to SSG, and then finally got their win back against the Rebellion, 7-3 victory once more. So I don't know if we can predict the winner based on those stats, but it definitely feels like we could see a 7-3 in front of us. BDS also very common at this major to play Clubhouse. A 7-1 win over Space Station, a 7-2 loss against FaZe Clan. So the thing is, there's a lot of footage between these couple of teams. When you see someone swapping off, like going into the clash, which we saw from Lasmo that round, it's nice to see NIP adapting so quickly and understanding how to deal with that, because they might not have seen it before.
Very interesting that they locked up the glass and the blitz here. I'm looking at something that's a little bit weird and a little bit innovative, and I love to see that from NIP. They love those quick executes onto the bomb site using utility-based operator. That's what the Ying ban is coming from, by the way, because they love to crouch on that for the executes, and it's been replaced here by glass.
Wizard's been having a terrific event so far. While he wasn't a standout performer on this team in Stage 2, he was the 3rd highest on his team and the 13th highest in the whole region. Hates was actually the best player through the domestic stage. He enters this game far below his own standings. He's the 2nd lowest rated player in this lobby and the 2nd lowest rated player on his team, which is a far cry from what we saw out of him. He's a top 10 player in terms of ranking, in terms of KD, in terms of kills, in terms of 3Ks, and is 11th in the league at 1vx's during the regular stage. If that Hates is able to show up against strong opponents, that's going to give a huge leg up to NIP just from a fragging perspective.
And NIP have just spent the entirety of the hard breach right now, not on the construction wall that goes into cash, but on the construction wall, the solo one. This is a very weird take. They're not going to be able to go from construction into cash with that wall being open.
Well, Toy now with a little bit of the smoke onto that main garage opening. The push in now being facilitated by the Shield. Collins has his hands full. Fantasy picks up 2 kills. I don't know if that's Raptors control as well, but the A-bomb site is theirs for the taking. Hates and Fantasy side by side. Lasmo, the only member of BDS able to get a single look at a NIP player. Has NIP take that round with pretty good ease.
I mean, we called for it. This was an innovative take, Jesse. I think we just saw that. The glass is there as a bait on garage doorway, and even the observers were baited by it. We just saw the glass being at the garage door, and then the rest of the cookie crumbles, basically, with the rest of NIP just from the breach, from construction as well. Beautiful take.
Very helpful, too, that they recognized so many BDS players were off-site. Lasmo was roaming over towards Master inside of Logi. P4 was bottom main stairs when that push started to come on through. So you had 2 players that weren't really with the bomb site. You had a couple players then were distracted with the rafters. Big play.
This together, guys. Let's work through this together. It's difficult. It's not working out the way we want. It's all right. We're going to find our solution, and it's going to go super well. Continue to communicate together, exchange your point of views. I think it's more about committing to one idea. Like if you want to commit to their first pressure, then commit on it together and try to like get into them, like get into their face, aggro them. Because right now they're just opening everything and then they're like collapsing basically. So like either you want to commit to the first aggression, the first pressure, go for it, or you want to fall back, take space where they're not playing and you play the late round. But be on the same page, that's the most important. Continue like that, guys. Bring that energy, we're gonna go through this, don't worry.
Wise words coming out from Leloon, the coach of BDS, who's been on this team for so damn long. And I think hitting a really important point there, right? Making sure you focus on one part of the round where you want to come in for the victory. NIP have not given them easy executes. I do want to reiterate that. They're pushing some really cool strategies at BDS, but they've got to be focused when it comes to responding to that.
And just a bit of context on those Leloon timeouts. We've been really fortunate during EML to be able to listen to some of those. And we actually tracked, Jack was tracking the success rate of the tag timeouts. How many teams after attack timeouts are able to win rounds? Well, BDS was the best one. Leloon's tag timeouts in our ranking was the ones that were the most impressive and impactful. And I think she just exactly spotted the issue here. The main problem is whenever you have those extended setups, there is a big gap, right? And that gap is being exploited 3 rounds in a row from different players. Twice in a row from construction, by the way, whether it was on Jim, whether it was on Cash. It's always the weak point. So if BDS wants to extend like this, they need to either play for that aggression or fall back and all 5 play for the turtle. But right now, they're getting split completely, isolated, and that's been an incredible win condition from NIP. All of this IGLing, by the way, coming from cons.
Yeah, and my eyes are on Frack to really see what they want to do in this round, because he is currently the only real extended roamer playing just around Garage at the moment. Falls back towards the secret stairs, which says to me he probably does want to play this passive. We saw how aggressive BDS got on their last basement defense with roamers up inside of CCTV, and this time it feels like they want to rein it in. They know if they have all 5 players alive, they can put together maybe a bit of a better defensive setup. NIP did do well, even when they had that late round push, but I think it still looked like a better opportunity for BDS.
I'm really impressed by Fantasy so far. I think he was really a raw diamond that NIP picked up almost 1.5 years ago. As a reminder, Fantasy used to be an absolute star of Brazil. He was a wonder kid with Furia. He played 2 different SIs, 4 different majors, and then he felt the loss. He went into Tier 2. He played for W7M Academy. He was all the way back. NIP was that one roster that took a chance on him. And Bob was saying he's been extremely valuable for this roster, extremely valuable, that one piece of entry that they needed. And he dies here in opening that. As I say this, I'm the best jinxer. He was 2-0 in opening kills before that, by the way.
To your point, Fantasy has an EPS of 110, which is good enough for him to be just outside of the top 10 of players that are still here. There are a bunch of players that have exited the event that are actually ahead of him, so I think it's fair to say at this point in time, a top 10 player still remaining, obviously leading the way on his team. He doesn't have the highest KD, but he does have the most frags on the team, so his value's been very high, and it does seem like, from what we saw out of SA League when we watched it too, you don't usually get a lot of games where both Hates and Fantasy are fragging at the same time. It's one or the other. Unfortunately for NIP, they've lost Fantasy this round. They'll have to rely more on both Wizard and Hates to get the job done.
Who just hit a nice shot. He'll have to find another Toxic Bay, but he misses. He got 3 kills pushing main stairs the last time they attacked this bomb site. He's yet to get a kill since, but you know how good he is playing the Hibana, playing this position, and a brilliant shot from Wizard too equalizes our numbers.
Is that an ego challenge? Is that just lack of information?
That's one of the hard lines, I think. That when you play Turtle on that church bomb side, I used to play the anchor in that position. It is so terribly hard to not die to blue because blue has long angles onto you. And you're feeling the pressure of that Hibana going down the main stairs. You want to move around, and that gets you punished by the blue player. Wizard, very often the Rook, the back line of NIP, getting all those frags in a passive way, a bit like KZ. And then Fantasy being the herds, right? The entry and the aggressive guy. These two are now going for a different take. The blue take, trying to backstab, and a church backstab with Hibana.
And only 20 seconds left. The rubber hits the road here. BDS desperate for their very first round. It looks like they might get it unless Cons can clutch out. And no, they just dogpile him inside a blue in the blink of an eye. Just not enough time to pierce that blue defense and move onward. NIP their first stumble in this map.
And there's that stat from Laloon, right? Right after attack timeout, coming in, winning that round, playing more as a team that time, you know, playing inside the basement, not going for as large of an extension. I think it was a good recognition that NIP have done a great job in the early round punishing that aggressive play. Now they rein things in. They keep all 5 players alive in the basement. Maybe it's a weird death from Virtue halfway through, but they still have equal numbers, and they're able to find those players as they're pushing different parts of the map.
It was the right call in the sense that NIP has won 3 attack rounds in a row because BDS is extending too much. P4 makes the call. Let's play a turtle setup, but this time no one commits to a flank. He was the one that died as Valkyrie in the first round because he tried a flank that was not worth it and was not needed. It was not even during the execution. Now he thinks, okay, the basement is strong enough for us to win this if we stay 5 on it, and he commits to that, and that works. Here you can see the adaptation, and you bring it again. Tuberao to slow them down, the Warden, the Mira, and the Azami to have a strong turtle setup. I'm expecting them to play again into that time burner situation. They expect NIP to be slow. All right, that's going to be a win condition then. Trying to play off time.
And we do see the Clash ban coming into effect now. They didn't bring it in the basement, but they did bring it on both top floor bomb sites, and without that being available, Lasmo's got to move over to the Warden, which he will then still be playing at an extended position. Loves to play in that kind of cash side of the map. With Robbie still in Rafters, it shows that they're not afraid of extending, right? They don't fear NIP that much that they can't still hold cash side, but I wonder how long they're going to stay over there if they do want to come back quite quickly, especially with NIP starting to look at the Jacuzzi side.
Especially because we've now seen a full rotation of bomb site. I'm curious to see if Cons is going to call a different type of attack. That's what we're seeing now. Right now, they're completely ignoring the server side, going for a Jacuzzi take. I'm expecting maybe the Deimos to go play on the windows or downstairs. And they're completely ignoring the extension in garage. Once again, the right call from Cons. Very impressive on IGLing.
Could see Wizard go put his same air jabs up that he had last time just to protect themselves from that CC window. They haven't done it yet, but 3 air jabs in his pocket. They do have 1 more exothermic charge if they want to get that open. Means that they'll just be a little bit safer for the more direct sight hit, but at the moment they just don't have a whole lot of map control. Plenty of time still to work with, and Cons is just in.
He's walked his way right into the midst of the bomb site. Do they have any information? 1 player on the ground on a red ping. They know exactly where he is. Cons is hoping for a misplay, but
he was spotted. He knows he's behind the bed.
He takes down the Warden, immediately pivots over to the Black Mirror, almost gets the Jaeger, but it's Frack and P4 to double up, and BDS has a lead with half of the round to go. Might find another here. As now Pino was staring over towards that Logi rotate. Pino sitting inside a weight room. He can hear the sounds, the chirping of the bomb chassis. He's right next to it, but does not know where this last player might be that could push him.
He wants to plant, but it's terrifying.
He's creating the plant as a bait. As soon as he starts planting, the others needs to play off that and get kills.
And there it goes. Watching the Jaeger intently, Nitro Cell goes in. That's why you have P4 downstairs. Frack a double kill as well onto Hates, and now it's Pino who walks his way away from that bulletproof camera and back down the stairs. That comical beach balloon-sized head of Jaeger spotted, taken out by Pino, as now he has 3 more players to get, but he's spotted on that cam, and it's Virtue long range to get him as he almost had a duel with the Azami of Robbie. Neither of them needed. That's a nice win from BDS, who find their 2nd in a row.
Yeah, good to see that little play coming out from NIP, even if it doesn't find success. You mentioned the fact they might change up their playstyle a little bit with Cons getting so deep in, but BDS just responded so perfectly to it. Cons maybe made some space for his teammates, but they were able to trade him out even after he got that first kill onto Lasmo. They managed to find those players before they can do anything crazy, and then they're not panicking by the fact that they've lost their bomb site. They're not panicking with NIP being inside of Gym. They're willing to go down below, play the Nitro Cell. They're willing to hold their angles and wait until they hear that plant, and then they make their move. Really patient round from BDS.
It becomes crystal clear the way NIP has been playing, by the way. Once again, they see a gap and they take it. And I think that what we see here is an adaptation from BDS. Instead of panicking, instead of reacting too quickly and moving too much, that player behind the bed, he saved the entirety of BDS by staying there, not moving, buying time for the rest of his teammates to come all the way over from garage. Okay, it's fine, they've got a bomb site, but we've got the numbers, and it's exactly what they needed. Great reaction, great composure, and that is the kind of things that will fuel the confidence in the end of BDS.
Yeah. Well, we go back to CCTV Cash for our final attacking round to see from NIP, and their last attack was extremely weird. They had control of construction, they pushed in that way while at the same time distracting from down in the rafters. I think we'll see something a little bit more traditional coming out for them. They don't have the glass this time around, which is what they use to try to pressure that rafter spot. They do have the Capitao as well as plenty of frag grenades and flashbangs if they do want to go for the rafter side of things, but I expect we'll go for a slower execute this time, assuming there's no similar gap that they just saw.
I mean, the glass was brawn, as Leo said, as a distraction, right? You're unlikely to pull off that same level of tomfoolery a second time, so I do like the change up here from Ninjas in Pajamas as they look to get back to their winning ways. They took the first 3 rounds against BDS, where BDS was averaging just a single kill in each of those losses, but the timeout from Liloon has translated very effectively.
And once again, Cons trying to find a gap, trying to find an opportunity to bring the opening kill on the side of NIP. He's always the one trying to find those gaps or that intel to then call for the rest of his teammates. Very special playstyle that we see between the 2 of them, and as you can see, he's getting supported by his teammates with the drone coming into garage. He can play off that and get a kill.
Oh,
amazing play from NIP.
Oh my goodness. He could have had a second onto the rafters too, but there was no answer back from BDS. So P4 walks right into the waiting arms. And now it is Robbie in the line of fire.
Got to reload.
It's quite rare to see a team bring Gridlock and Nomad together to flank watch. NIP is the only team that does that in Brazil, and if you needed one more reason to think they're one of the slowest team out of that region, well, that bringing the 2 operators is one more reason to believe that.
Yeah, NIP gonna be happy with the kill, but BDS are fine to lose P4. They expect to lose him in a lot of their defensive rounds. They still have strong positioning. Robbie inside of Rafters. If he dies, this is also full reinforced. They've reinforced over the angle, so now they're expecting Robbie to lose this position. If he gets killed, it's bonus.
He can deal with the bees, but he can't deal with the nades. He can't deal with the tracksters. He can't deal with the fire. Everything is being thrown at Robbie right now, and look at how little HP he's lost. Still fighting from this position. Luck's got to run out at some point. They've got him trapped in the corner. A flashbang to go, and Wizard collapses. A nice hold by Robbie to eat utility and eat time.
How much time is wasted exactly? I mean, we've still got this breach that's not been opened. They don't really have the utility at this point to get the breach any more open than it is. So this push, it's going to be scrappy. Hates has Diffuse Kit in garage, but even this, they don't have the breach for.
I am baffled by how much time Robbie was burning here. 2 Capitao firebolts, at the same time the flashes, the nades. It's impressive he bought time, but I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, that's right now. Nip just in a big numbers advantage that will continue to grow. Nitro Cell goes out, does damage to Hates. Frack the only kill. But it's Nip very firmly in control of that one. BDS will only muster 2 successful defenses here on Clubhouse as the first half goes to Ninjas in Pajamas 4-2.
There's a really cool little moment quickly in that execute where they actually pop the fire extinguisher to cause a cloud of smoke in the red hall. That was what allowed the planter to then jump in the window. So you get from rafters into CC and get into a spot where you can start forcing the plant, start forcing those defenders to move. Really smart round from NIP, and I think it caps off a smart half overall. We did a great job of spotting those gaps and then exploiting them.
The most important thing for the win condition here is that you see the entirety of NIP commit to the right call every time. What happened here? They breach server, that's great. They have this little move called by cons that gets them the opening kill. But after that, you see the entirety of NIP trying to play off of Robbie, right? You see the gridlock, you see the air jabs, you see the Capito firebolts, all of those things here. After he gets that opening peak, all of the utility available on NIP was spent on that garage, getting Robbie out of there, getting the kill, and then a clean execute. I'm once again impressed by the level of coordination from NIP. That what lends them, again, an edge in the attack side on Clubhouse.
Yeah, really nice late round kills coming out from Cons in that round as well. He holds the record for the most clutches here in Munich and is the only person to have a clutch on all 3 days of the event so far. We are waiting for his 4th, but I expect that it's coming very soon as he's in his contract written up that he gets 1 per day.
I did note that his ranking as he came into this event, he's the lowest rated player in the lobby, and he's not doing well in the fragging department, and yet he's turned that around completely today.
Oh, yeah.
So again, it just goes to show you that your impact round by round, a lot of what Cons is going to be doing is going to be off of the field. It's going to be in getting this team in a good position to play well, IGLing for them, but he's also getting kills. He's going to take probably more of a, a back-end sheltered role here as a defender. He'll be running on the clash. He'll giving calls to the team and allowing the rest of them to benefit from it. But I don't know if we're going to see a lot of fragging from him in the second half.
We'll see. I think he will need to be very important here. The reason for this is that drone is key to BDS take. Right now they know this is a fully extended roaming setup and they've just seen the entirety of the 3 anchors into Armory. This is exactly the kind of information that P4 needed to call the right thing. Now, are they going for a roam clear? Or are they going to isolate the bomb site? You can see the hesitation. They don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some pings, and so with the vert, they should be able to find this one. Eventually. There we go, P4 finds Fantasy thanks to that drone. And we've talked all event about how good the droning has been for BDS. This has been a consistent trend in a lot of their important wins. I think for NIP, that's something you've got to focus on when you're up against this team.
And I love the way they've done it. One player focusing on getting that free kill and that opening kill. All 4 of them are then working at the same time at room clearing. They can work on 2 different things at the same time, getting both the opening kill and also making sure no roamer is left up top.
We'll get some more information over towards blue now, as there are still plenty of drones stashed about. I do wonder if that drone persists downstairs. It'll be able to give them more information towards cases over towards that pull spot underneath the hatch as well. There was no pressure whatsoever from Nip as BDS walked right into kitchen. They will be slowed down a little bit by one of those volcanic canisters that have been used very effectively, but they find a second kill in the same time. Wizard and Fantasy both in the grave now as Nip has to hang on for the next minute and 15 seconds.
Crazy to keep the pressure up. I really expect things to slow down. BDS use those can openers to get the hatches, but happy to just dip your toes into oil pit. You find Wizard for it, and now it's a 3v5 where you're really starting to put pressure on NIP, especially because Cons is on that clash. It feels like somebody needs to step up and work a pick.
Yeah, this is clearly going to be a blue, dirt, and kitchen hatch take. This is going to be really, really strong onto Armory. They're trying to get the blue control, and the execution should go onto Armory with the diffuser going through dirt.
Just trying to flush them out of blue now as he saw the leg of Cons, that clash, repositioning itself likely back towards Church. Frack will give the attention away, and they bait him in so well. Robbie collapsing on Hates, who has to swing out of his position. They didn't account for Pino. Lasmo on the board, Pino continuing to fry, but he meets P4 head on, who's got control of the site, walking in from Dirt Tunnel, and BDS prevails on their first attack.
It's funny to see the same strong shoot in the 2 teams in attack. I think recognizing the right opportunity, having the right intel, then getting the opening kill, and then focusing on the right takes, right? Taking it step by step, getting the blue control that they needed and committing to that game plan. I think we're seeing once again why these 2 teams that were not anticipated to make it to the main stage prove that they really deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was one of the cleanest takes that we've seen all day from BDS. The early game with the drones, the late game with the execute, even the mid round, the fact they work a pick on the Wizard, really cool stuff. I think Virtue some excellent play on the Monty to get them these couple of kills and make some chaos happen over towards blue. Such a distraction, even though he goes down in that round. Virtue has been such an important part of this team. He's played NIP 3 times in his career and has never lost.
It's really interesting to see BDS bringing the shields as well. It's something that is extremely meta, not something that we necessarily saw them abuse during EML. That's one layer that they added going into the Munich Major, and I think it's very much like on say that is a must-have right now in today's meta. Having Virtue being able to play it, bring on the Monty, and now bring on one utility operator such as Ying to try and be disruptive. Those are the kind of assets that you want to have in your roster.
Yeah, and it's been nice too from BDS because they've had a wide variety of shield players. Virtue's taken the lion's share, but we've seen Lasmo grab a couple of shields. We've seen Robbie grab a couple of shields, and so it really can depend. Sometimes maybe you want a more aggressive kind of Blitz Blackbeard type shield, well that's going to go to Robbie. When it's more passive, well that's going to go to somebody like Virtue.
Yeah. Lasmo and Virtue both playing the Blackbeard most of all of these shields, to your point, Jesse, and then Robbie has Blitz as his most played shield operator.
That makes sense.
So of course, flexibility on who is going to run the shields. On the side of NIP, you expect Cons to hold onto those shield ops, as we saw with the Clash in the previous round, but here, there is no shield other than that can be played. Don't discredit the Osa too, if needed. Osa does act as a shield op. We do see Fuse shield from time to time on Clubhouse. I don't think we're going to see either of them here today, but crazier things have happened. Both of these teams on the precipice of main stage, but also staring at a flight home. So if you need to break the glass in case of emergency, just to bring other shield ops, now's the time to do it.
They're facing the exact same setup they faced on the casual side when they were defending it. A huge extension here into Master, and they're trying to play off of server right now.
This is a very familiar spot that Lasmo has played in, and now it's Wizard doing the exact same thing up on those rafters. They've torn through 2 players on BDS. They've lost Hates on the Echo. Hates playing nowhere near as aggressively as we've seen in previous maps. He's the one playing on this more of a sheltered role. You have to hope that with the Echo dead, that those Yokais are still in position to gain value, because the operator is not going to be able to actively control them.
Why did Thermite and Sense go for the play here when 2 players were downstairs? That's my only questions.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like they were trying to flash out this Azami whilst that push came in the breach, but Wizard did a great job of getting those kills, even though he was being pressured from down below. He's put in so much work to get this Azami, and now it just feels like this push is not going to be easy.
And what's the play here for Frack, right? You're going to throw a grenade up at some point. You'll have to wait on another team member to try and capitalize off of Wizard, who's playing above him. But there's a lot of time that's been invested here.
And he's just not helped. As you can see, he just gives up.
Yeah.
And giving up that rafters means that these guys will have to go blind, exposing their back into garage when they're going to go onto the bomb site.
And Virtue will send in a Candela. He and Frack hit their marks. NIP now have lost the numbers advantage, and it's all Wizard, the player on Catwalk that we talked about, vanquished by this French, if you want to call it, team. BDS continue to play so effectively, but they did look like they were stalling out midway through the round, and then they just turned on the Jets.
I mean, Virtue's not even in the building. He's getting 2 kills just from outside on the breach. They end up swinging him, I think, a little bit more than they needed to. The Fuse kit was never picked up in that round. They get a little panicked on the side of NIP.
Falei.
Alô.
Agora, saindo.
Mano, vocês estão me tirando que vocês estão pegando, mano, Traihan errado, bombe errado no porra do campeonato, velho. Vocês estão tirando, velho. Qual é essa, mano? Vocês estão de brincadeira, tá ligado, velho? Cadê a Clash agora também, mano? É que a gente pegou tudo errado. Vamos fazer academia, peitando, mantém a Clash lá, porque eles estão abusando de montanha. De terceiro, vamos banir o montanha. Demorou? Demorou. Que provavelmente, eu acho que eles vão meter esse ban Clash agora. Principalmente se a gente ganhar. Mas, mano, foca no negócio, mano. Vocês estão relaxados pra caralho, mano. Isso é coisa de time relaxado, mano. Que já achou que já ganhou, mano. A gente não ganhou não, mano. Olha o round que a gente acabou de perder, velho.
Fechou, bora aí.
Tá ligado, velho? Então, mano, vamos botar um pouquinho mais de consideração. Quando a gente voltar, a gente vai fazer a tiringa, tá?
Bora.
If you're wondering why they talked a little bit longer and the timer said 0, it's just because there were headphone issues at the beginning. They are still working within the correct parameters.
I think what I got from this is that he wants them to chill and he wants them to abuse the clash because they had the round in their hands. Clearly, they were leading. I think it was a 5v3. They had exactly what they needed. But I just feel like I'm watching a game of chess. I'm watching a game of chess between 2 IGL. I think for BDS to come up with the right solution, think, okay, we cannot problem solve rafters. They've reinforced fully that garage player, so he's useless. You can see it. He can only pick from garage window. He could not pick from the rotate that usually is there into server. So they think, okay, that's fine. We're going to isolate the rest of the players onto the bomb site, ignore completely that Azami, and if we break apart that bomb site, then we'll have it a beautiful play to spot that and execute it flawlessly.
Yeah, a great call out coming through from Coach Dan of NIP. Been with this team for nearly 2 years now, starting as an analyst, moving to the full-time coach role. Now we see him behind his players, and I think good to see him able to calm them down a little bit. We'll see what the result ends up being, of course, but always tough sometimes making that transition from analyst into primary coach. Really important for NIP to get back on track. I felt like their attacks were really solid, but BDS have been good too. This is not an easy game.
Yeah, looking at this setup, you can see the Clash is there to slow them down in case they were trying to find another gap or in case there is a fast execute. And then the Ela and the Melusi is there to fall back slowly, burn as much time as possible. For BDS, they're really good, yes, of course, but they're slow as well. And that's something that can be exploited with that operator lineup.
We're once again seeing the Clash brought out too. It's Wizard this time who is also using it to extend over towards the cash side. So this is what Lasmo wanted to do. Now he's, of course, on the attack, so the Thermite will start to open things up. With this double hard breach ban, it's kind of awkward sometimes to get everything opened. They still have the Thermite and they've got lots of cans, so it's not a problem right now, but this will be the last round where they have the Thermite most likely, and so it's going to get kind of awkward after this point.
I'm still debating the use of the mute there because they know they're going to face a Thermite with the way they've banned the hard breach, and obviously the mute cannot really be useful to that Thermite. It makes less sense because if you place the Thermite charge slightly above the mute jammer, then you can still breach the wall. I think maybe that's just a misplay there. They could have brought a better operator, but that's fine.
Yeah, especially, I mean, like the Bandit being available, great Thermite counter, but it is what it is, right? Sometimes you just gotta stick with the strat, play what you're comfortable with. The guns are important too. This jacuzzi wall has been opened up and Virtue is dying to get inside of it, but doesn't want to literally die in order to get in, so he's got to be careful with these explosives.
I was hoping for the timing there, Jesse, that he would maybe take some damage and bring more truth to your words for a nice double entendre. That's French, by the way.
Wow.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I try really hard to use a single word.
Something is going to rain right now on that bomb site. Green Bees, Capital Firebolts, and Candelas with a Monty pushing in. This is about to go crazy on that bomb site, let me tell you that.
They march in. Lasmo asserting himself, but can't outduel Fantasy. Still seems stuck in this position, finding two. Cons will jump in as well. And the anger that was felt, whether you speak the language or not, during that tactical timeout, seemingly has woken up this NIP team as Fantasy finds a third. It's all up to Virtue at this point in time. What is he able to do? Slowed down, fighting for his life, and it's a huge round from Fantasy to give NIP the lead again.
4 huge kills coming out from Fantasy, the former star of Furia from way back in the day, finally returning here to the international stage with NIP, and I just think he's really been locking in this whole event. Very smart for him to stick around inside of Cash that round. You know, he was being pressured. There was a lot of focus over on Jacuzzi. Didn't panic, didn't feel like he had to get back to site, hit some brilliant shots, even as the Ying was being tossed towards him. Excellent play coming out from the young guy on NIP.
This goes to show once again, you can have as much utility as you want. If you don't have any control, that's not going to be enough. You cannot break apart that bomb site just with sheer utility. Everyone is ready for it, especially Fantasy on the Ela. They're going to go and run into Ela mines or Melusi traps. Nothing you can do there. It's actually exactly what happened. As you can see, the crosshairs were ready, no control whatsoever. Lasmo P4 died on server, 1 dies on construction. Nothing, no control. Everyone was still outside.
We might have missed this. The only kill that came in on the side of NIP was a team kill.
Yeah, from
Cons killed Hates. BDS technically were not able to muster a kill. That is a flawless round, technically, by most standards, as BDS had nothing going in that round.
And the two teams are tired of that 1v1, the Clash versus the Monty. Well, let's get rid of it. The two teams banning away the shields, and I guess now only one side has got access to the shields, and that will be the attack.
Yeah, it's interesting that they don't commit to their strategy, though. Usually you see 2 hard breach bans. You'll see the third coming soon after, but they go for the Monty instead. Fair enough. It's been well used so far. Virtue, 2 of those 3 rounds was bringing that operator. I thought he was very good in round 7. That last round we saw it too. Maybe just adjusting on the fly, feeling like the Thermite is okay to deal with, especially if we do see some of that Bandit coming out. Didn't get banned out. BDS also breaking from that structure a little bit where you ban out 2 operators, good for keeping the walls closed. Why not a third? But adaptations on both sides definitely going to make this interesting for the fourth quarter.
We do have a translation, a rough translation from our good friend Maria. As she heard that timeout, we obviously don't speak Portuguese. Alfama, you speak multiple languages, but unfortunately I don't think Portuguese is very strong. Basically saying that the coach was pissed at the players, saying, what are you doing? You're joking with me. You're choosing the wrong bomb. You're acting like we've won something. We haven't won anything. Get your head in the game. and let's actually try. And it seems like that message was very well received. Pino shredding Virtue on that sends, on a basement take. That is a devastating operator to lose for BDS.
Yeah, on a roam clear, you're sending the sense first. That's a questionable decision, I think, when you have the KB, Lion, Striker. Your 3 fraggers, Lasmo, Frack, Robbie, they should be at the head of this. Why is Virtue getting the first opening death?
They're going right into the site, Parker. I mean, Fantasy is still top floor, but they don't seem to care. Slowly, these players are working to the site.
This is very close, 1 minute and 10 seconds, and you've got 2 separate players on BDS knocking on the door. You've got Frack situated on blue, you've got P4 sitting at the bottom of main stairs. Hoping maybe for Nip to make a mistake as the rest of this map still gets droned out, and now the drones get put into position to capitalize off of that information in hopes that BDS will have something as Nip are looking for match point.
They're in the worst kind of situation because they chose to commit to the bomb site rather than roam clear. The problem here is that 4 players are already on the bomb site. So it's technically a 4v4, and IP has more utility. And on top of that, 1 player is still upstairs and can still backstab the entirety of BDS, probably on the blue side, if that makes more sense. Right now, NIP is in full control of this round.
And there go the flashes, utility being dumped in. Nip still perseveres. Wizard and Cons with 2 picks. Cons letting his Goyo canisters do all the work. And now Fantasy's got the Dokkaebi dead to rights. Lasmo fighting his way out, and he manages to do it. SMG on SMG, but it's Lasmo who perseveres. P4 has stood as a sentinel at the bottom of main stairs waiting for something, and he's outnumbered. Nip now doubling up as there go the smokes into the hallway.
Still
Nothing yet, though.
Panel adherence underway.
You're going to close off Moto. As Lasmo will look to work his way through Dirt Tunnel. P4 gets a good read. Down goes Pino. Information taken at the same time. And P4 needs to blow open that door. He'll do just that. Lasmo creeping up. I like the way that BDS is going about this. They're trying to isolate, but Cons has the read and a double swing. Cons gets both. Nip moved to map point.
The best attempt they could have gone for, I think, given the circumstance. That round really falls apart at the start with everybody going back down. I mean, you said it, Leo. Really didn't have what they wanted for. Surprised that they got the 1 frag on a Fantasy when he went for that flank. Nice shot from Lasmo to be able to win that one out. But it just felt like they did not have the utility to work those floorboards, to get the angles open that they needed to, and ended up just having to make some solo plays that didn't go their way.
And even in that scenario, I mean, you expect an IP to be in full control. It's exactly what happens in that 2v3. What do you see? You see 1 player holding dirt. The 2 others are focused on P4, they have his information. As soon as the dirt player dies, then all 3 players swing on the last remaining player at the same time, without any call needed to be made by NIP. That's natural chemistry right there, and that's discipline at the same time. I think their coach was right. They're awakened, and they're playing the right way.
Now we got to see BDS go back-to-back rounds just to force the overtime. The bright spot is that this is NIP's map pick. So if you're coming into the series, you're BDS, you don't necessarily expect to win on Clubhouse. But after the start they got off to, after having such a strong couple of attacks and then, of course, stalling out a little bit, it has been disappointing to see them fall off since the attack timeout. Still plenty of time to bring this one back. CCTV Cash will be our second last site.
It's a bad time as well for the fraggers to fall off on the side of BDS, despite how close the scores are. Nip has been far more efficient in winning their rounds. The kills really just do tell that story. Nobody is positive on the side of BDS. Frack is closest, sitting at an 8-8. Everybody else underwater. And I mean, with a 6-4 scoreline, it wouldn't be abnormal to see 2, maybe even 3 players positive, where the supports or even 1 fragger may be underperforming. On numbers could be doing badly. Nip is seeing Fantasy lead the way, but really it has been Cons, the lowest rated player in this lobby before a single round was played, and boy is he shutting us up.
I am extremely happy about Cons' performance so far the entire season. As a reminder, Psycho used to be the team captain of NIP when they won 6 Invitational, and they decided to kick him at the beginning of the 2025 season, and Cons then stepped up and reinvented himself as a player, becoming the IGL. He stepped up massively, the real mind, the brain behind all of NIP's attack and defenses. And who goes down now?
Cons.
I'm the jinxer.
It's called the caster curse for a reason. I know you're an analyst. You're not used to doing the caster stuff, but your words have power, and you need to wield them well.
I am surprised at the way they've built this, by the way, because this was a full extension from NIP, and BDS, instead of ignoring it, are problem solving it actively with the blitz, going into Jacuzzi here. That Eli is isolated.
Oh, they've lost Hates, but Fantasy's position inside a bedroom has been given away, and he's hunted down as the pain train was hot on his heels. An advantage for BDS. They still have the shield up as well, and plenty of utility.
Really
Both
awkward.
smokes Both flashes.
Really awkward spot for these last two anchors on the side of NIP. Wizard and Pino way back in the site. They've got to just hold things down, and so much time for BDS. A minute 30, Virtue again on the shield. How many times have we talked about his impact? They ban out the Monty, thinking, okay, don't have to worry about Virtue anymore, but the Blitz is even more deadly.
Funny enough, I think that having time might be a problem for BDS here in the sense that they can overthink this. They can split too much. They can then be isolated in situations where NIP can get aggressive and maybe bring this back to a 2v2.
And it's Pino right now playing red stairs as Virtue is outside the building. He might strike, and depending on who's watching that breach, right now it's been Wizard's job. He will still reposition over to the safety of this bomb chassis. 2 will go in through the breach. You've got P4 for the backstab, as you've talked about before, Leo. Smokes go out. Virtue running in. If this does not work for BDS, the map goes to Nip. Virtue has no support. Lasmo was outside of the breach, no follow-up. But hey, they trust the process. It works. P4 had gotten the down. Nip get a bit anxious. And BDS respond by gunning down the final player, a head scratcher.
Why isn't IP swinging that? They had it in them. You kill the Blitz. You stay strong. You don't move. You punish the players when they walk in. That's your advantage. Why is that Melusi jumping out of server for no reason? Lasmo completely gave away Virtue. He lets his Blitz push in first, but then stays outside of server. Everything was weird about this end of round.
There was nothing that was seemingly going right. I mean, I thought Virtue was going to use the flash and the blitz, but didn't end up being able to do that. So it goes down, and that makes it a 2v2. Pino, I think, just a little bit eager. There you see it, exactly what we were just talking about, Leo. Some big swings coming out. Lasmo clutches up at the end. P4 was coming in from the backside, too. We didn't get to watch that, but had a big impact coming in from Khan, winning his 1v1. NIP getting a little nervous, it feels, at the end of that round.
It's fine that BDS, though, in a position where they're clearly back against the wall, where NIP is supposed to win this when they're on match point, they take the hardest path. They chose to go and problem solve that roam. They chose to go and get that fight, and they won it. It's beautiful for them because then it rejuvenates their confidence once again. They were afraid of losing that round, and now they just have one more round to save to go in overtime.
It's been a real frag-heavy bout. No diffuser has been planted successfully yet. In terms of drawing first bloods, it's pretty close, but the edge goes to Ninjas in Pajamas, winning 7 of the 11 that have been played so far. They have struck first in 7 of those. They've not converted effectively, though. So all over the place for both of these teams, and frankly, a far more even matchup than I expected here on Clubhouse. BDS are a tricky team to beat, and I do fear this NIP team had a history in the SA League of falling short when the times got tough. How many OTs did they go to? And it's looking like that might come to fruition again.
Well, eventually looks like we do get that opened up. The breach will be performed fine by Lasmo, and there's been a bit of an interesting extension. Unlike when BDS were playing the Azami over by Rafters, Fantasy's playing it relatively conservatively. He's inside of construction right now, and is just trying to help Wizard get away from that extension that he was playing in previously inside of Cash, and as the drones will confirm, already back towards the bomb site.
That drone work is amazing, by the way. They just saw that Cash is free. Now that is a massive, valuable information. It means that they can take half of the map and then start working onto construction and office. With that control, then they can execute onto the bed and start. Oh, this is a huge extension in construction. The frost mat, the 3 Kiba barriers. This is something to problem solve now. And you can see this is the next hurdle to problem solve.
Yeah, this is just what I was talking about. You don't have it in Rafters, which makes that side of the map a little bit quicker to clear, but this is going to take some time. They don't have a Flores. They only have 1 nade left in the pocket of Robbie, so these Kibas will be really tough to deal with.
Lion's going to take matters into his own hands. Robbie using his gadgetry and then taking the engagement. Fantasy doesn't suffer through it whatsoever, and we'll just replug the hole now. A double swing, and here comes the blitz, but there's some help being sent in from Ninjas in Pajamas. Both teams will trade back and forth. Deagle out, as Fantasy has nothing he can do but unleash the sidearm. Robbie shuts him down, but not before Fantasy picks apart P4. The last 2 remaining players on BDS inside of construction. They have to deal with the Logi hold. They have to deal with the bomb site. Lasmo does hold diffuser, but Robbie will be the one to cover, and he's on borrowed time with just a single point of HP.
Cons and Pino need to not overstep this. They lost the last 2v2 because they got over ego. They were swinging when they didn't need to. You've got to find these drones, but be very cautious in the last 35.
Discipline is the key here. It's important. Either you play for the plant, either you play for the kills. Let's see what they do.
And they have no choice but to reposition. Pino will manage to do that under the watch of that Lion as he sees him walk right in, pivoting over, and Cons will get the final kill. BDS stumbling at the finish line, and despite a spirited effort, it's Nip who takes their own map in the 11th hour or the 12th round.
Bailed out at the end there, and nice patience that does come through. They have some really strong, creative ways to finish that map. Loved that setup from Fantasy on the Azami. Had some really crazy shots in the midst of that round. Then he does just enough, trusting in his teammates to close that out and win their map pick.
He's the real hero here. If it wasn't for him, that construction hold, if he didn't hold against two different players pushing onto him, the Lion first, and then the player on the bridge, and then the Blitz itself, he just faced all of that by himself and bought so much time for an IP and 2 kills. He really deserves to win that map.
Yeah, a couple of late round fumbles, maybe too, from the Blitz coming out from Virtue. We saw that Monty ban, how it was affecting him. Super strong in that third quarter, but fell off a little bit at the end.
Well, we've still got at least one more map to go. Does Nip get it done? 2-0, clinching the main stage. We'll find out after this break.
NIP take their own map, are now on map point to make it to playoffs and send BDS home. Now, before this game started, we highlighted certain players over on the side of NIP, and I'm glad we did, because they absolutely delivered.
Yeah, absolutely. So the player that we're going to talk about here is Fantasy. Now, you called him a knight.
I did.
You said he was getting on that chessboard, causing chaos. Now, Fantasy, he started out with a big double kill, but actually the reason he impressed me most was the fact that he was getting the entries. He was getting the most important kills of the round. He wasn't often, you know, providing multi-kills after the first round. Did in that round, but it was the entry kills, it was opening up, it was creating space for his teammates. Even when rounds were not necessarily getting the way of Nip, he was being dynamic. He was the one that was finding that space, and then Nip were capitalizing it, particularly on their attacks.
Yeah, and then we just look at the map. So, I mean, what did I say was going to be the win condition? What did I say the opener was going to have to be, and who's going to be walking away with it?
It was the first kill.
It was those opening kills, and as you can clearly see on the side of NIP, they were walking away with far more of those opening kills. Unfortunately, they couldn't convert some of those early on, but to be fair, I would argue easily NIP could have closed out this series in a lot sooner of a fashion, just due to small mistakes that I don't want to discredit BDS being able to claw some of those rounds back, but it was more so of a lack of NIP of just paying attention to certain details.
I'm frustrated, and I know you want to speak, but I'm frustrated.
No, go ahead.
I'm looking at that scoreboard. I'm looking at the scoreboard on the left-hand side of my screen, and it feels like another game where BDS get close, but it shows that when their big firepower, when their Frecks, when their Robbies are not popping off, they're losing the game. And it was 5-7. It was so close. There was rounds that they could have brought back, but they're just not quite getting that timing, not quite getting that synergy correct. And it's ultimately cost them, because that was a close game on their opponent's map pick. But it's close, but it's so far as well.
I mean, he called Robbie a major player, right? He needs to show it here as well if they want to stay inside of this event. Now, we're looking at BDS in between these two maps. Of course, it was a close one, right? They almost managed to push it into overtime, but just not quite. We're going to go into Skyscraper, which is BDS's map pick, but we all know once you pick the map, your opponent gets to pick the starting side.
Correct.
And NIP are, of course, going to pick defense. What do BDS need to do in that first half on the attack to get some rounds on the board?
I think this is a little bit nervous now, because they're down 0-1 inside of the best of 3. They're starting on their map pick. Yes, they are good at Skyscraper, but they will start on the unfavorable side, as you just said, and that is attack. What do they need to do? I think first and foremost, their fraggers need to turn up, you know, in terms of Robbie, particularly in terms of Frack. Be confident, but when those two guys are off the board, which they were a couple of times in terms of BDS's attacks on Clubhouse, they need to commit to a plan. They need to be doing it together. We saw a couple of times where, you know, Lasmo was baiting out P4, who was baiting out Virtue, who was baiting out Lasmo, and nobody was really the person that was going in and forcing that team play. We need to see that on Skyscraper. Skyscraper's such a small map that when you hesitate, the defenders can move around so quickly and be ready. And we need to not see that from BDS.
Yeah, and then I would say easily on the side of NIP, I think they just keep the foot on the back of their necks and not allow any bit of breathing room for the side of BDS to get comfortable, because like you said, it's a small map.
Yep.
You can't hesitate on it, and we already are seeing how Fantasy himself is playing. He will immediately take that if he is given the opportunity.
All right, we're bringing our casters. We're joined by not just 2, but 3 people over on the side of the H3 once again. Leo, how are you hanging in there over on the other side?
I feel fine. I'm blinking. Please send help.
Okay, is this like a situation like where you blink twice and we need to come get someone to escort you? It's like to get you out.
Parker, he's signaling to them.
I think he's blinking.
Is this Morse code?
I think he's
You guys read this? I don't know.
He wanted to do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a voluntary thing, of course, but I'm sure you guys are having a great time, and I hope that continues, though. I hope so for BDS, that they can find a way to find themselves back into this game. Otherwise, elimination is on the table for them. I'll send it back to you guys to take it away.
Yeah, Nip has been on this run they sent most of North America home. Now it's Europe's turn to feel like, well, how we feel. Now, it's not just about potentially losing this series, but there's more on the line here for BDS. Big org, big expectations. It was shown at the start that BDS are also fighting for an SI spot in Paris, of all places. You want to be there, you want the org to be there, you want the players to be there. What happens if BDS falls short in this series, not just here, but also for SI?
Yeah, they are definitely playing for both the main stage and that SI chances, right? And the big problem for me is that if BDS doesn't win this, everything then relies on EML finals in Malta. And that's going to be a big problem, because you don't want to only focus on one single competition to maybe have a chance to go to SI. Why is it important? Well, they bear the name of BDS, an organization that has been so successful at Six Invitational, but also across Siege in general. most importantly, 6 Invitational in Paris, when all of the staff is French, when P4 is French, when Lasmo is French, you want that.
Yeah, and the biggest thing too, you've got all this pressure and you've got to go to the most defender-sided map in all of Siege. Skyscraper with an attacking start is going to be a tall task for BDS, but they knew that when they picked this map. They've got to be confident coming into a map like Skyscraper. They'll know their opponents on it. They know what NIP like to do, and frankly, NIP kind of like to lose on this Skyscraper map. A 6-game losing streak, although some really close matches up against W7M at the tail end of Stage 2. So plenty of footage, plenty of VOD work being done, and now we get to see what that preparation looks like.
Yeah, you're going to have a robust mental to start attacking on Skyscraper, knowing that your back is against the wall. BDS have a lot of players who always want to play at the top level. They've tasted success on the main stage before. They did enter this event towards the bottom of the EU depth charts. This is something we said in their very first matchup that you and I casted, Jesse, was that a lot of people have been sleeping on this team. Teams have been sleeping on it. Other players have been sleeping on it. Some of us as casters have been sleeping on this BDS roster. Now is the time to put the money where your mouth is and beat NIP on this map. It's your map. You've got it all in front of you. It's going to be hard. You do it. Then we go to best of 3.
I mean, we've talked a lot about BDS so far, but a lot of people had those same doubts about NIP, right? We talked about the start of map 1. Not a lot of people had NIP in their top 8. It's been over 2 years since NIP last beat a European team. That was the Atlanta Major when they beat Virtus Pro. Since that, they are 0-3 up against Europeans. They could be about to break that streak right here.
And if you think about it, it's been even a longer time. If you think about how much they've missed those major events, you know, they obviously made EWC, but were first rounded here at that international event. Now is the moment for them to go back on the main stage. That has taken a long time. It has taken the replacement of their long-term captain, Psycho, and a long development of that roster. And they're on the verge of it. On the side of BDS, they woke up during this playoffs of EML. They consistently grow. And I think that it would be a shame to put a stop to that growth at this moment. They need to show the glimpses of hope. It needs to be more than Clubhouse and being close to beating NIP. It means beating NIP here on Skyscraper.
Well, the majority of the operator bans have come through, and they are largely focused on the walls. We see Ace and Kaid, no explanation needed there. The Mira as well, often an operator used to keep the walls closed, especially on Skyscraper. And then we get the Monty, the one operator not really focused on that part of the map. And I think given how good Virtue was on the Monty on Clubhouse, and how much he frankly struggled on some of those other shields, I really like that ban from NIP.
Amazing push here to get the first kill of Fantasy. That's the opening kill. That's the one player that has been causing a lot of problems on the side of BDS. Now that's completely gone. One of the things that I wanted to mention is BDS able to put their fraggers as the entries. We've seen too many players die, and that was not the fraggers that they wanted. Now Robbie takes his leadership, he takes his ownership of the entry role, gets in with Deimos, gets the kill on Fantasy.
I like that you mentioned Robbie because he was absent through most of that Clubhouse. He was a player whose name we so seldom said. And with his presence on this team and the way that he is capable of playing, he broke double digits in what, 2 of the 3 games that you and I casted, Jesse? You know that he's able to rise up against the best of the best. If obviously has no shortage of fragging potential on their side. Just as we were critical of Robbie, we need to look at Hates' performance in map number 1. But it doesn't really matter what Hates did because NIP ultimately won the map. We don't need to be critical of a player who might not have performed up to expectations when the rest of the team got the job done.
Well, without Fantasy, the pressure gets higher for Cons and Wizard. The other 2 roamers here on the karaoke side of the map, and one of them's got to find some way to get a kill back. With the Deimos down below, Robbie's already done so much good work. They're trying to get a bait kill onto him, but nobody's able to find a shot yet.
Oh, almost getting Wizard. Cons on the run. Down goes Frack. That's the Ying off of the board. I didn't hear any Candelas go off. So I do have to wonder if there was any value gained from that objective, or gained from that towards the objective before dying. Now next in line is Hate, still playing off this position inside a drum, staring at that Geisha opening. My goodness, and he gets Lasmo. They knew he was there. Why vault in? There was no double swing. Now the Deimos baiting Cons into a fight on Black Stairs, expecting yet another. Robbie looking for a triple kill to start things off. Long pronounced action here as it's got Wizard on the run, and he manages to get away, at least for now.
As a reminder, the bomb side is Exhibition.
Robbie does find his 3rd. It's a hard-earned kill, but one he gets all the same. And now with 45 seconds, you have to move over to the opposite side of the map.
Still not an easy task, though, as an attacking team, right? You're only in a one-man advantage, and they are all falling back towards the bomb site as we speak. So for NIP, low time, they can hold some crossfires and hopefully work a couple picks back.
That will to fight is commendable for these guys. They felt that they needed to hold drums as long as possible. They wanted to retake Black Stairs. They wanted to go aggressive. They wanted to put as many obstacles as possible in front of BDS. That now has to come up with 20 seconds and execute that 3v2 perfectly.
I mean, it's still a holdable position for Nip at this point in time, and it will get scrappy. Pino finds one, squares his body away. Out goes the flash. Smart goggles activated. They don't know how close he is. Pino could easily flank around. He'll need to save it as he's the last man standing, and Hates gets the job done as Virtue and P4 both go into the ground. Oh my goodness. Isolated on an island, but Hates is there for added insurance, and Nip start off with a victory.
And that's the problem with Skyscraper, right? You can get the man advantage, but it's not quite enough. You need even more than that for a successful execute, and it's great that Robbie gets those 3 opening picks. He plays fantastic in the early game, but when you're losing Lasmo, when you're losing Frack on the Ying, you mentioned it, Parker, he only got to toss out 1 Candela before going down. That push is still really difficult. Hates, for his part, was still doing site setup right before that push was coming in, but BDS, because they went so slow, Hates was able to make a couple extra angles with the Deagle, able to put down a little bit extra barbed wire. Just let them prepare for that execute, and I felt like BDS maybe needed to go a bit faster for that push.
Either they needed to go faster, either they need to do like on Clubhouse, have a better drone information. If you know that everyone is committing to that aggression all the way down in restaurant on the opposite side of the map, if you know that someone is all the way up Black Stairs here around karaoke and around drums, why is no one committing to the bomb site?
Yeah, that would have worked too.
The bomb site is fully empty. Well, they didn't have that information. And I will say this, I will praise and commend NIP for willing to play and go aggressive as much as possible. They could have given up that drums. They could have went back to the bomb site. And he decided, no, we're going to send all 4 of our remaining players aggressive, take that fight onto BDS.
Yeah.
And that shows that the confidence is still very much there in that jump out. I think it was another show of that.
You know, this is really feeling like our last series. We're still early, but our last series, we saw in game 1, won by Furia. Game 2, then they start defense on Skyscraper. They play very aggressive. They heavily commit to a lot of those roams, and it really does pay off for them. They go up with a massive lead in the first half. BDS need to find some way to make sure that doesn't happen again. We saw W7M fall to those problems. BDS needs to be a little bit better at either punishing that roam game or, as you said, Leo, hitting that site.
One thing that was working for them the past round was probably to all attack from the same side, try to work the things together, try to clear the room, all 5 of them together. I do not see that happen right now. They're all spread out around the map. My biggest worry with this, are they stalling? What control do they have right now? Robbie's downstairs with no one to help him, and everyone is still outside. And that's a full minute already spent, and no control whatsoever.
It's hard enough attacking on Skyscraper, but when you're doing it as a team of individuals, and you're battling the clock and you're battling your own coordination, things aren't going to go very well for you.
It's tougher for Robbie too, because he got 3 kills with Deimos, but now there's going to be that mute, and Pino on the roam game is down there sitting on a mute jammer, rotating a bit now, but it makes that Deimos really difficult to find value from.
I've tightened up where these jammers will sit, so when Wizard was running the mute in round number 1, it was far more site-oriented this time around. You can enable off-site play, and it makes it very damning for Robbie to get value out of his gadget.
Now NIP has chosen to go into a turtle setup. No one is playing aggressive here, and they overpick. Now that's a big problem, because if you decide everyone needs to play passive, you give up that roam, you need to play towards those win condition. That needs to be a crossfire, not jumping out into an air jab.
Fantasy's able to get one back onto Lasmo, but he will die very soon after at the hands of Virtue, so now it's a swing from Hates trying to survive, rushing out of his position, but Robbie's still down below and will eagerly grab that kill. Completely blind as Frack and Wizard fighting each other. Wizard taking a second to peel back. He has to swing at this point. Pino's being hounded by that death mark. Wizard is the only question mark on the side of Nip.
Isimo kind of where he's at, but his teammate goes down, and now he's got all to do, Parker, in a 1v4.
I don't see how BDS bottled this one at all. Wizard doing some damage, but Robbie, a big round yet again. Is that another 3K for Robbie? You were critical of him. Now you caster cursed him in the right direction this time.
I think one of the hardest things to do when you're a pro player is choosing to pick the right battles, right?
Yep.
Olha só, de terceira agora a gente vai banir Deimos. Eu quero só a gente jogando avançado, tá ligado? A gente tá jogando pra recuar, mano, a gente não sabe fazer um cruzado. Tipo, a gente tá rodando tambor, sendo que a gente nem tem o pixel do altar ali ainda, pra ficar peitando, entendeu?
Tá.
Sendo que a gente pode ainda ficar no chá ali, ajudando a meia, entendeu? E a gente não tá fazendo nada disso. Então, mano, vamos jogar, mano, avançado pra peitar.
Beleza.
Demorou? De terceiro, vamos banir o Demos lá. Mesmo. E vamos continuar com a ideia de reforçar, por exemplo. Agora a gente vai cozinha avançada. Então, mano, talvez ali, mano, seja até bom uma Valk ali, Maguinho. Pra gente ter intel realmente do que eles estão fazendo e ajudar nessa peitada. Demorou?
Beleza.
Na cozinha avançada agora. Então, pro karaokê, a gente faz avançada lá cheio de trap. Tá? E, mano, e vamos peitar em conjunto. Nossa comunicação tá muito ruim ali, mano, do que a gente tá garantindo, do que a gente não tá, entendeu? Só melhorar isso, velho.
Fechou, bora.
Really interesting to know what he's saying there. I hope Maria will send us the translation quickly. But one of the things that I picked up was the demos. I think they understand that is a big problem for them. The second thing for me is they pick the right win condition. Play turtle against that setup. The problem is if you play turtle and play passive, why do you go aggressive, right? You're throwing bodies at them, the wrong decision. Exactly what happened on that Clubhouse when they go out of server. Same problem here. If you want to play those, you need a little bit discipline, and that was missing here in that round.
Especially for Cons, he's playing on the smoke. He dies with 3 toxic babes in his pocket when he goes for that swing, and then you feel everybody else on NIP be like, oh shoot, I've got to get a kill back. I've got to play more aggressive. I've got to take more risks because my captain just ran out the doorway into an air jab, and now we're in a disadvantaged state. I think you can start to see the panic a little bit. We're only 2 rounds into this map, and NIP already calling their attack timeout. You can see just how important it is to have a dominating defensive side. The fact that they already lost 1 attack and want to call that attack.
Maria has translated what was said for us. And the big one is we need information. We need to know how to counter them. Let's bring a Valkyrie. And immediately that's acted upon. So Wizard will bring the operator right off the rip. And then said that NIP are playing too passive a style and not playing their own game. They need to be more aggressive to match BDS. So will we see that acted upon immediately? We know that they've already accomplished one of those goals, which is bring the Valkyrie to the table. So Wizard will run this operator. It should give them intel.
Rush, I think.
And it might just be a push right into the bomb site. You are absolutely correct. It's got them running, and they will hunt down Hates and Pino in this position. Wizard also dies. Fantasy doomed. BDS bringing the intel to them. You don't need to bring a Valkyrie to know where these players are coming from. They're already in the middle of the bomb site. Virtue will get the case down, and Nip is reduced to just Hates, who's the only player yet to get a kill. Frack punishing him, and BDS win 2 attacks on Skyscraper.
Well, the tech timeout goes both ways. When it's given to Lilun, then that's a given round win for BDS afterwards. Why is that interesting? Well, that change of pacing is probably the best call they could have gotten because they understand that NIP are going to try and play more aggressive. Playing more aggressive means they're going to extend more. If they extend more, there is a gap onto the bomb site, and that can be exploited with a rush. Perfect read onto what NIP had there and perfect rush to counter that.
I don't think BDS could have come up with a better attack if they were in the attack timeout of NIP and listening to every word that was being said by Dan, the coach of NIP. It felt like they knew exactly what was going to come out. You said it perfectly, Leo. They're playing more aggressive. Let's go fast on and hit the site. And I was a little surprised to see NIP go Barbecue Kitchen because it is a bomb site that is incredibly susceptible to those rush plays. Because they lost the previous round, they still had the opportunity to go upstairs. They could have taken that choice to play Tea Room Karaoke again. You can see some rushes on Tea Karaoke too, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's a lot harder to make a rush work on that site compared to Barbecue Kitchen.
Yeah, when you play BDS, you expect their strong suit to be that unit, that step-by-step fundamental good way of playing Siege. But one thing that P4 was well known for all the way back in the French scene is to have those drones pre-placed onto the bomb site, and we will make the call of a rush without hesitation. He will call that because he always have his drone as the IGL near the bomb site to kind of see what it is looking like. If it's an extended room, it allows him to call for the right strategy, and here he calls that rush at the perfect timing.
Some really interesting operator bans coming through. We already called it the Deimos being removed. Robbie was so good on that operator, but then the Clash gets banned out, and that's not an operator that we saw NIP play even once through that first quarter. Leo, why do you think they want to get rid of the Clash?
I think it's because we've not seen a full rotation of sites yet, and that, assuming, is a call from the coaches before the match starts. That's probably something that they'd had anticipated was going to be played later on the other bomb site, and they don't want to face that, so they will just go ahead with that.
A little fun fact for everybody here is action happens early. Doesn't matter what operator, I guess you give Robbie, he's still going to remove you and your head from the server, and Fantasy will figure that one out very quickly.
Changing map!
Robbie's still in a prolonged duel now. He's got Wizard on the run. Robbie finds another. They said you needed to be more aggressive, stop playing so passive, and what does BDS do? They up the ante. They go even more aggro than before, and they are tearing through Nip en route to a flawless round.
Robbie, known hater of fun facts, will not let you get them in.
I didn't get to say my fun fact.
Massive 3K on the Dokumi, though, Parker.
Hold on a second, and that plays into my fun fact. Every single team that has won a round has done so by getting a 3K. In round number 1, Hates got a 3K, so did Robbie. BDS lose the round. Round number 2, Robbie a 3K, they win the round. Round number 3, Frack a 3K, they win the round. Round number 4, Robbie a 3K, they win the round.
He got 3 triple kills in 4 rounds, that's what you're telling me?
Well, I mean,
the triple.
The triple threat. Triples are best. Triples are good, triples are best. Robbie's got triple kills.
In Canada, the triple just means you like your coffee extremely diluted.
You don't like the coffee. You like cream and sugar at that point, yes.
And I like a Ruby that is hitting those kills. I will be honest, I've said it before, and I will say it again. You've got to learn to pick your battles. NIP wants to play aggressive, that's all fine. But play aggressive off of traps. Play aggressive in a situation where you have the advantage of the map, where you have intel to get aggressive. When you can go and double up on that player. Why is Robbie given 3 1v1s? If you want to go aggressive, that's all fine. But let's all do it together. Calculated aggression, based off traps, utility, information, or team play. And that right now is not the case for NIP.
Right before this map started, Parker asked the question to you, Leo. What do you think this map ends? Do you think it goes 2-0? And I think your answer was something like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's Skyscraper attack. You're not supposed to be able to win big on Sky attacks, but BDS have flipped the script, and I think they're perfectly exploiting what NIP are doing.
I mean, that's been the story of BDS so far at this event, during EML playoffs. They always flip the script. Whenever I feel like they're not going to perform, they perform, and whenever I expect them and praise them on the desk, then they drop the ball. I don't know what to say. The perfect jinxer.
When the going got tough, Nip got going in SA League. Every time they went up against stiff competition, Nip crumbled during stage 2. Now, leave it to North America to make Nip look like they've forgotten that, because now a real region, EU, is showing up, and on a map where Nip realistically should have 3 rounds themselves right now. This scoreline should be swamped, but BDS on their own map are winning the inarguably more difficult side. And I honestly think we're setting Nip up to completely collapse here. BDS should run away with this once the side swap comes in, because let's face it, the likelihood of this being an attacker-sided Skyscraper is the same likelihood that all 3 of us are able to understand Portuguese by the end of this series.
Yeah, and then what happens on map 3, right? We get to Lair. You've tossed a game like this, the perfect opportunity for NIP. That's going to start wearing on your mental. Opportunity for all 4 European teams to get top 8 at Munich.
And once again, look at that drone placement. Once again, near the bomb site, perfect information. This is a direct take. They have all the infos that they need. The only thing that I'm waiting to see is that opening kill. Because right now they're stalling hard and they still don't have control.
Should know they can walk out black if they really need to get an extra angle onto that smoke player. With this drone, another one deep in the bomb site as well. They've just got so much info to play off.
And notice the change of pace here. NIP not giving a single opportunity, not taking gunfights. They're playing off of the crossfires and the utility they have on the bomb site. They found out that if they give opening picks to BDS, yes, they will win. But let's just play to the strength of the map.
And they've given every opening pick to BDS. Robbie in particular has 3 of the 4 first bloods, Frack as well. So basically the way it works is if you get opening pick, you get a 3K. That's how it's happened every single round. Fantasy and Wizard on the board first. They were stalling out. BDS had to go, and Nip are ready to greet them every single step of the way.
Perfectly played so far. Geisha control, the only thing they've really managed at this point, but even that's getting traded out. Big 2K from Fantasy.
Exactly like on Clubhouse, and that happens again. If you give BDS a pick, they will take it. If you don't give them anything, then they will spend that utility, but they have 0 control. So you're going to abuse that, and you're going to get the round just based off the map layout.
Yeah, I mean, really tough round to come through there. Nice response from NIP as well. Still in this game, you know, we start singing the praises of NIP, BDS bring it back, now we start singing the praises of BDS, NIP will bring it back, and I think it all comes down to that chess match you were talking about on Clubhouse, Leo. These teams adapting to each other extremely well. I still think they've got to figure out this drone problem. It's something BDS have done extremely well since the first day of Swiss, and it still feels like an advantage that they have.
I'm wondering if that's the work of all of the staff, thinking of Eden, thinking of Furious, thinking of Lilun, of Helby. They've got an incredibly talented staff that helps them set up the perfect counter strats. Those droning work, that's something that can be easily pre-planned by your staff. When you've got one staff that works so well, it gives you that much of an edge in the matches, and you can really see how much that's been helping before. And the entirety of BDS takes the right decision in attack.
Yeah, Jesse and I brought this up on a previous cast when we saw them, is just how large the support staff is for BDS, right? And Jesse compared it to CAG, who don't even technically have a coach here, right?
Yeah.
So you've got an armada of stats people in the background. There's no reason why things should be happening that surprise you, unless it's the very first time this team is ever pulling it out.
And you can even compare it to the coaching staff of NIP. I mean, BDS, you've got these huge names, Laloon, Helby, Eden. On NIP, you got Dan and Bob. Sounds like two guys from the office, but Coach Dan, manager
I got
Bob.
Dan and Bob out back helping me with these.
As a manager, I'm not sure how much Bob is really contributing to the strategic side of the game, right? So it really is just Dan and the team trying to do their best.
When we would hear tactical timeouts from Bob, a lot of it was just motivational.
Yeah.
It wasn't strategic. It was, come on, guys, we can be better than this. You need to wake up. Which every now and then you need, but the strategic depth was definitely missing on the side there. They had Mighty as their coach for a while, if memory serves correctly, and he was able to give them more of a strategic element.
And no, I think we are getting both with Dan. You can see that emotion go through him. Oh, and finally, Fantasy win that opening kill. That was long time awaited. We needed Fantasy step up, and that's it. Is that the first opening kill that NIP is getting in that match?
No, they got an opening blood in the previous round. Fantasy got one there too. But it was a flurry, if you recall. There were two very swift kills, 3 kills actually. 3 opening picks for NIP in the previous round before, I think it was P4, the only player who was able to get on the board that round for BDS.
That's Fantasy just getting aggressive. Top black where he finds the first frag onto Frack, and then as soon as he gets that, he's going to rotate back towards his team. They don't need to extend all the way in Karaoke and T. They can start to bring this back. Fantasy just playing outside of drum at the moment, could be hunting for a little bit more.
Impressive how static BDS is still so far, still stalling, still looking for that zone control. 130 left into the round and still don't have control. Robbie is left by himself here taking that gunfight.
Pretty crazy that Robbie and Frack combined for 16 kills. There's only 19 kills across the entire board of BDS. The remaining players all have 1 to their name. It's a real heat sink here. The problem is that if these players are cold and we just can't tell just yet, it will be very bad for them if Robbie goes down in the ensuing fight. And it looks like we might have actually early action with 1 minute and 10 seconds still on the clock. Right now just languishing outside of this breach. Cons takes down Virtue. There goes the Lion. There was 1 EE1D that I think I heard. So you're going to be starved of that utility, and Fantasy swings. Logic bombs will go off. P4 is no more. Robbie's still on the board, which bodes well for BDS, but that's about the only bright spot at this point in time.
Glad to see that confidence from Fantasy again, coming back to the bomb site, having more of that impact. We saw it from Cons too. Now Robbie needs to be able to link up with Lasmu, but they're so far apart.
And there goes Robbie, a flawless round for Ninjas in Pajamas. No, Lasmo says goodbye to Cons. And he also gets Fantasy slapping the taste out of his mouth on the door. Still playing off his position with 25 seconds. It was a triple kill for Fantasy on this round before he was shut down. Now it falls on the remaining players of NIP, and they've got the crosses held. They've got the protection of the bomb sites. A tie game looking most likely swapping sides, which is still good for BDS. Wizard will send us away to the second half. 3-3, no team closer to a result.
I'm just wondering, 3 rounds, is it enough for NIP to really go on the attack side and feel confident they can take it? Because it's such a defender-sided map that a 3-3 split, you're not going to be happy about that when you start a defense. I think they figured out the right things, though. They were giving up way too many early picks by playing too aggressive. When they started playing a little bit slower and then played the aggression at the right timing, that's when it started to work. It just took a little bit too long to figure out.
I'm brought back to a conversation you and I were having before this map, Leo, and how after the group stage of SAL this time, we saw NIP as the #1 rated defensive team in the world. They were so strong on those defenses. And then they got to playoffs and they had a couple of stumbles in the best of 3. They lost to some teams that maybe they shouldn't have. They had some really close games. That defensive rating started to dip down and down and down to a point where it's now more or less, it's still high, but it's in the mix of what we tend to expect from these top-level teams at the Major. Now we have to see them performing on the offensive side. You're going to look to guys like Fantasy, who have been extremely good on the attacking entry, but also at times inconsistent. Guys like Wizard as well, who can play that kind of flex support role on the attack, but still position themselves to get all of those kills. Wizard in particular, the highest rated attacking player on this team, a 114 KDR through the Munich Major
And
on attack.
is right back on the shields, right back on that blitz. That helped them so much on Clubhouse. Get as much control as possible and basically create movement for Fantasy to punish players and get an opening kill. Now, Skyscraper plays completely differently. It's such a small, crowded map with crossfires everywhere. The shields can be inefficient to a certain amount of point, but also so viable to break those crossfires. We'll see how they're going to play.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a
Couple of
bomb.
electricity bands coming through as we tend to expect. And then once again, the Monty and Ying, couple of important operators that do get removed. Same ops that we saw being banned out on Clubhouse too. Very different circumstances, but can still be really effective. A little bit more common to see the Ying banned out here on Sky.
See how the Shield of Cons works as he's very quick. Oh, he actually just got a good spot on one of those defenders. I think that was Frack that he saw. Now over on house side, very typical to clear out the other side of the map first. That's where the focus will be, but Nip are spread out very effectively, and Lasmo dies first. What is this action? Wizard with 2 very quick kills on both Lasmo and P4.
I think that was a jump out from jungle side, trying to play aggressive over this the roam clear, I think. And that blitz was, again, completely standing alone on the exhibition side with no one to support him. So the shield, who was supposed to be the first one in the building, ends up being the last. And the 2 entries kills that they're getting is on the back of Fino getting aggressed on.
Yeah, it was a double jump out. Lasmu outside of Geisha, and then outside of Terrace went P4. So really nice little play. More players out the building.
I was going to say, they still have good utility on the side of Nip too, so they got those kills without expending very much. Yes, you lost your Heart Breacher, that's rough. But you'll have both logic bombs, you have your flashes, you have your smokes, you've got all the utility on the Grim as well that's now all been used. Look at that trail all down the hallway. That'll be a rough go of it for the defenders, but BDS not taking any of these advances. Wizard shredded by Robbie on the Solus, 11 kills, Khan's getting Diffuser down. This cross still being held by Fantasy, as that's a mag dump from the P90. Still a really good spot from Fantasy to grab them. Hates is there to take 2 out of the equation, and it's all up to Frack. Nip looking for the advantage, and it seems like we actually do have an attacker side at Skyscraper. What is going on?
And once again, it's on the back of the defense trying to do too much. If you see that, why do you need to double jump out there?
Yeah.
Is it worth the risk? You see NIP stalling on your extended room on the exhibition side. Do you really need to jump out and play aggressive here? Not really. The defense is so strong, you can play in, stall time, go back slowly, and you will be able to play off of the map.
A really good punish from NIP too, though, to wait for that, to recognize that it might come through. It's Wizard who gets those first 2 opening kills, and I did just say he's been NIP's best attacking player through this tournament so far. And of the 4 maps that NIP have won at this event prior to today, he was the MVP, the highest EPS player in 3 of them. His consistency in the winning games has been massive for NIP. Recently, we've seen guys like Fantasy, I think, step up a little bit more. Cons as well in that last game, having some big moments. But Wizard has been the rock of this event. And if he keeps playing like that, keeps watching for those moments, that could be a huge deal for this team.
And no big surprise here to see BDS go back exactly to the same bomb site, picking exactly the same operators. They understand. We did not play to the real win condition of that strategy, and we need to be better. And so that's why they run it again. They understood that NIP were struggling to problem solve that. On their side, see the adaptation from Cons, bringing double hard reach, do the KIB, no more shields. Maybe this is going to be a direct take, and completely ignoring of that extension.
Like that read from NIP, understanding that this is going to be a bit of a different look despite the same operators. We shouldn't expect to see those big jump outs. Still the same positions, Lasmu still in Geisha, P4 still in Terrace, but you just don't have to play quite as aggressive.
Reminder for people watching the stakes of this matchup. Winner goes to the main stage and will be our second last team to play in that top 8. The loser will go home. Ninjas in Pajamas has been on this heroic bottom of the bracket run, knocking out both Space Station and Shopify Rebellion. BDS soared high early on, but have come back down to earth. Only one of them can make main stage. And if NIP make it, that would mean the only Brazilian team that would fail to qualify would have done so at the hands of another Brazilian team. Once again, a very dominant performance from this region.
2 Selmas tossed out, both of them impact tricks, so they don't have any way to enter in through the VIP wall nor the office wall. It makes this clear a little bit awkward now if you're an NIP fan. They actually start to rotate some players away and decide, okay, we've got our angles, we put some pressure on, but we need to focus on Geisha, worry about other parts of the map.
Cons carrying the diffuser all the way on that other side and still as isolated as he was on the blitz. No one really helping him, and the same issue that we saw from BDS. They're trying to have multiple pressure points, but that quickly can turn into you stalling. And if you do not get a single ground, then nothing is achieved. At 1:13 to the round, you can see no one gets control. Everyone is still outside, and that is going to be a big problem comes the lower end of the round.
Yeah, with that time waste too, the BDS players are happy with the roam game that they have achieved. They've now fallen off, so great that you've cleared that out. We do see Frack sticking around a little bit inside a trophy. He's the one guy who didn't retreat back to site. If he gets a pick, that'll be huge.
Everybody's still alive with a little bit over a minute to go. One of the sluggish rounds that we have seen. That's just what attacking on Skyscraper can be like. Remember, this is still a defender fortress for the most part, and Frack will get pick number 1 as Hates tried to creep up all alone on the house stairs. A nice snap back from Cons as he reads into P4 perfectly, but they still don't know that Frack is in this position, do they?
I think he's expecting it, but the 1v1 is so close here. Oh, what a play from Cons. Honestly, if they bring that round back, it's solely thanks to him. Nothing. They were stalling. They had 1 minute. He gets that double kill.
I mean, you get P4 in that position, that frees up half the map for you. Now somebody has to take up space over there. It might be Robbie, the one to do just that.
And now they can start working on the execute. Cons will then spend his outreach or trying to go into karaoke, or into T rather. They're going to play for the plant.
Do they know that Virtue's in this position? Down below, the Solus will shake him off of his spot. Khan's now taking an awful lot of damage. Lasmo dies. Robbie cannot be left in a position all by his lonesome. They will need to retrieve the diffuser. Where is Nip? Fantasy picks it up. Virtue now looking for the flank. Guns down Wizard. He's off to the races. He misses his shots. Pino eliminates Robbie, and it's Virtue to try to clutch this one out.
Wow.
But Khans does it all himself. 3 kills, cracking the round open and then sealing the deal.
That is a ridiculous round. You've got the Solus down below, stops the plant once, then it gets downed, and he can't think that he can find one of those players, but they still managed to pick it up at the last second and start that plant.
We had our first round, we tried a run out, we didn't get the advantage off of it. Here we stayed split, we got picked by one, no refraggable position, not that much. Let's group up more, okay? Let's group up, don't overdo anything, we don't need to play aggressive early round. That's what they're looking for, they're hoping that we're gonna do that because they're so shit at the map, and it's a map that's difficult to attack as well, okay? So let's group up more, play those late round, look at those strong positions, crossfires, refraggable position, and let's bring the energy back. Don't let this bring you down, Rob, okay? Like, we got this, okay?
Yep.
We got this, guys.
Oh, it's just the only thing. We just make sure we have crossfire. Like, the defense we lose is because just we let them play 1v1s. If you want to stay on your position, call okay, but let's go fist. Call okay, but
I think it's exactly the right call from before, by the way, and we mentioned it before, right? For both of these teams, by the way, in defense, playing too aggressive, trying to do too much. They so much need that win that they're trying too much and too hard to get it. When in fact, it's a little bit simpler, like Lilun said, play into the late round, play into the time. And you've got to praise NIP on this, by the way. The end here. So Cons getting those double kill, completely crazy. That sets them back onto the right way. Then they go for the execute. What was impressive to see, the diffuser being spent all the way on top of the table so that it's safe from Solis. And then you have 2 players. One, Pino, watches the main stairs on Hibana. The other, Hates, watches the black stairs. In that way, they know that the 2 players that were downstairs are being watched with a flank watch, and the other can plant safely. To be able to come up with that in, what, 10 seconds with NIP, it just goes to show, once again, that natural chemistry is amazing on that roster.
It's a really difficult push to pull through. I think even after Cons gets those couple of kills, because the time is just so ridiculously tough. BDS hoping to rein things in a little bit, and we got a great call in from Laloon there, great tap timeout, and we start to hear a little bit.
Oh, no need to play aggressive, Frank, and he goes for the spawn kill.
Sometimes it's okay to not listen to your coach.
Did you see him give the shh to the camera right after? Dusting them off, and of all the players to get right off the rip, it's Fantasy. We do have a rarity, though, and I hate to be so basic, but I'm letting you guys take the harder analysis here. Fantasy and Hates are both overperforming right now, or performing well at the same time. This is something you don't see all that frequently with this roster. Again, just because of the way that they play, you either have Fantasy doing well or Hates doing well. But they're both fragging out.
Feeling really good about the position that they're in. Up now 2 attacks in this second half up against BDS. The pressure is on BDS to change the play style. That's what the whole attack timeout was about. And again, we've got some aggressive moves that are still seemingly happening. We've got that run out. Of course, the Clash is going to be constantly feeding information. Specific note about Robbie was that Laloon wanted to calm him down in particular at the end of that attack timeout. He got the triple to start off this game. 3 3Ks, only 2 sims.
Off to the races, Wizard and Pino toppled. BDS showing good confidence. Hate's the only player who's been able to do anything through this round. He and Cons in a fight for their lives now in the midst of this bomb site. Cons takes one down, but before being confronted by the Clash, shaken off of his position by Lasmo. And back to the drawing board, Nip will go. They've still got half the round to problem solve this, and they picked up the case in the process. Good news though, if there's two players you want to rely on in this moment for Nip, hard pressed to find two better than Cons and Hates.
I don't see a world where BDS loses this. They've got the Clash to take information on those two players. They are almost 1 HP. A single bullet will send them down. It's going to be a really tough one for NIP to crack. I think that they're really getting hard punished by that initial pick from Frack, and I think Frack needed that kind of confidence. As you heard Lilun mention it, they need that. They need that mental to be with them.
Hates just trying to buy time now as he knows there's going to be one pushing from over towards Dragon's side. Frack and P4 will shut the door. No comeback potential here for Nip despite a valiant effort. And you saw no way that BDS was going to lose that, and you were absolutely correct.
Huge round from Frack coming through.
You're not
there.
who I was talking to.
Well, did you want him to respond?
Oh my goodness.
I'm just letting him glaze me. You know, I was right, and
you know what?
Changes
you know what?
having
I was going to glaze him
apologize.
too. I was going to glaze him too.
You were going to glaze me or Leo?
Mom, stop fighting,
Come on
please.
now. No, because Leo said, I mean, it's a big point for Frack to get back in with a spawn peak. And I was going to say I have to agree 100% because Frack has not had a very good tournament. He's -11 coming into this game here in Munich. And a lot of those struggles particularly were coming on the defensive side. He actually has an even KD when you look at his attacking stats.
The small shots.
-11 directly on the defense to start off with the spawn peak and then get a couple of more really important kills in that round, I think is huge for the mental to get this team back in it.
Yeah, now it's going to be a tough one because if I'm not wrong, we've gone through many different rotations of bomb site. They will have to go on one of the weakest one, which will be Kitchen. Now, that is a real test because if they lose that one, NIP is on match point. BDS needs to have that mental pressure on them. 2 match points to save if they lose that round. It's really important. It's either you put NIP on match point, either you go back and it's 5-5 and you are still on the stronger side.
At the same point, there's pressure for NIP too, though, right? Because while you did start off with 2 good attacks, nobody's going to take that away from them. This is supposed to be the easy bomb site. If you fail to get this attacking round win, now you've given BDS momentum. They don't have to go back to that bomb site to finish out this game. They can play top floor back-to-back to win this out. And we start looking at a game that is almost certainly headed into overtime, if not a 7-5 win for BDS.
Both teams have used their timeouts as well, so you're just going to have to troubleshoot this live. You won't have any opportunity to talk amongst yourselves unless you can't bring the coach in, but you could do one of those sit on the roof timeouts. I suppose that's the best you're gonna get.
I'm waiting to see the kind of takes that they will do. I love what BDS did last time, trying to really make use of the ground floor and then go for the site really quickly. I thought that was the right call. Now we see the same extension on the side of BDS, but a very different take from NIP. They completely gave up that shield, which I thought was their main crutch to get some attack rounds. They need that gun up. I think they want to get that opening kill. They want to have that upper end in man advantage, and that goes to show that they're thinking most of this action will take place around the fragging power.
Yeah, we got 4 players roaming around the top floor, 3 as Robbie rotates back down those house stairs. So there are going to be a lot of hunting players on the side of NIP who are hungry to get these opening picks. Robbie very much by himself. If he goes down, you kind of go back to that timeout from Lilun.
He's feeling that confidence to play the Solace. He's going to be the win condition, the hidden win condition for BDS to go back towards the bomb site when the execution happens. And in the meantime, he goes for the aggression, gets it. That's the Robbie that we want. That's the Robbie that they needed. They needed a strong fragger to go aggressive and contend with Fantasy.
This is his 3rd time playing Solus on a bomb site, but this is the first time that the bomb site is on the same floor that he's going to play under. And last time he was isolated by Nip and did not really have much of an impact on either of those top floor attacks. Now you can see exactly what he's able to do, and it might just knock Nip off stride by taking Hates out of action.
Yeah, they've kind of given up on clearing him now. They know he's too dangerous. They want to focus on these players in our T room because if they don't, the time is just going to get away from them. But this is also a tough task. You see the Kiva Bears being tossed out. You see the Geisha wall still needing to be opened up. There's a lot still in the checklist for NIP.
It's going to be a rough thing to break here. The drums crossfire, the Geisha, you need to get all of this control.
You just walk right into the site. I mean, I guess at this point, you've got to go for broke. Virtue with the only kill on the side of BDS. Nip with a numbers disadvantage at this point in time. Frack is down. Fantasy and Hates are the two that are gone, and those are your two primary fraggers, so you need an insurance policy, and they have found it. Now it's Nip with this numbers advantage. All of a sudden, BDS has been reduced to P4 and Robbie. That means Robbie will have to get corralled back towards the bomb site. He's already worked his way now over towards B. He and P4 will stand against Nip. And you said the weaker bomb site. Nip need to bail themselves out of this with 15 seconds. Down goes P4. Caught rotating back in. Robbie the savior, 13 kills, but Wizard and Cons will move Nip to match point.
That is a mental crusher, by the way. BDS had that round in their hands. They chose to fight on that top floor. They could have given it up. They had a safe way back to the bomb site through the dark stairs. They chose instead to stay there in Geisha from a 5v3. You see then the entirety of NIP collapse, and the three last players become into a 3v2. They went from a 3v5 to a 3v2. That's insane. Yeah. And then there, the most important thing, 20 seconds left, and they need to attack in a 3v2. We saw that BDS in attack going through the same thing. What they do, 1v1v1, and they lose that. When you saw NIP do it, it's a 3v1 onto the last remaining player on the bomb site, isolating that pick, playing off that man advantage, and they go a 3v1 onto one of the anchor, a 3v1 on the last remaining anchor. That's the difference between BDS and NIP right now. One is a cohesive unit that knows how to turn around, and the other one is just giving them up.
It's a game of 3Ks on Skyscraper. Another one comes through from Wizard, who again, since the side swap, has been absolutely amazing for NIP, and he's doing it on the Grim. I think his utility has been so incredible. They could ban him out, but they don't have any more bans left.
8 3Ks so far through this game. Round 1 had Hates and Robbie. Round 2 was just Robbie. Round 3 was Frack. Round 4 was Robbie. Fantasy on round 6. Cons on round 8. Wizard on round 10. So not only is this happening, but it's happening with almost half of the server at this point.
And I remember you, Parker, saying something about an attacker side at Skyscraper. Can you tell me how many attacks were won in that match?
So far, 6 attacking rounds.
Jeez.
So we're looking at an attacker side at Skyscraper.
If you're BDS, you're sweating at that point.
I think the pressure is there. We mentioned it. I think the last round was a critical one, and to lose it the way they did, BDS needs a strong mantle. They had it in their hands. It's the most important one that has just put NIP onto match point. That is a really, really hard one to lose.
A very frag-heavy lineup from Nip as well. First Finka that we're going to see here alongside a Glaz. Obviously, you've got Cons on the shield, and Cons is leveled up now to the point where he's sitting at 7-7. Everybody doing a pretty good job in terms of offense on Nip, except for Pino, but that's not the way he's been played so far. Frack will start things off with a Nitro Cell, killing Wizard. And the advantage right now goes for the defender, something we haven't been saying, as you just pointed out, that much on this map.
Very patient from NIP. They're waiting for a swing, but it's not come so far. BDS has an extremely aggressive defensive side, but so far this has been much more passive.
They're about to go in, I think. They really want to get this roamer down. They want to get the opening kill again. And that player is stuck, and that's a perfect crossfire from the two. One from Dragon, one from the top of Statue.
Cons looking to exploit a weakness here. He only finds a single kill before Freck will show him the door. Freck getting every kill except for Pino.
Oh, what
issuing a correction. He's got all of them. Freck with all 5 kills, an ace to keep BDS in this, and they will survive at least one more round.
It's not been the best tournament, Parker, but that makes up for it all. The most important round maybe that he has played in his entire career. Up against Series Point, you lose that, you're going home. Freck's not going anywhere at this event.
Give that man an SMG-11 and an Aria to hold as a roamer, and he will do so and get an ace. That's the Frack that we've known, being one of the best players of EML coming into this major. We're waiting to see him pop up, and that's it. Finally, when it most matters, because as a reminder, if BDS loses this, their SI chances drop drastically. They will only rely on the EML finals to maybe make 6th Invitational in Paris. He knows they desperately need that win to go on to Lair.
It's been a big year for Frack. He actually had a hand injury that was happening to him. He had some strain in his wrist that was really affecting him earlier on in this season. I know it's something that he was quite concerned about. Did a great interview with Ann where he talked a little bit about it. That's up on the R6 Esports YouTube channel. You wouldn't know it by looking at him play today.
And those are the stats he referenced, Leo.
from from losing. They would got 13% chances of making it to SI. They would have a much better chance, 60% if they win. This is very, very important for both of these rosters, but mostly important for BDS.
If NiP lose, they still have a better chance than if BDS wins.
Yeah.
And I mean, now granted, when you're here at this event, your focus is on the event. That's primary focus number one. But SI is the event. Every single player who plays this game will tell you that their goal is to lift the hammer one day.
Even most importantly, when you wear the name of BDS, when that org is French-speaking, when so much of this staff is French-speaking, when these guys, all they dream about has been to play at the biggest event ever put up in Paris, in their home turf, you know, in their nation, with a French crowd. They really want to be there. It would mean a lot to lose today because that just diminishes their chances by so much.
There's so much that could be going through the heads of BDS right now, but it has to be focused on this round. You lose here, none of it matters. You've got to find a way to break this defensive side, and this was strong, right? For BDS, they managed to get this defensive win last time, but it was with the clash. Lasmo doesn't have that anymore, gets banned out, so he's got to go to the Warden instead.
Already hear an air jab get hit. I don't know if that was a potential run out or opening near a window here, but already some information from BDS, and that's NiP aggression that is handled very well by these anti-flank ops.
And the classic NIP take, you see once again, you're gonna see Fantasy, Cons, the Gridlock, and the Nomad to watch the flanks. A slow, steady take, fundamentally playing around the blitz here, played by Wizard. This is a direct take onto the exhibition bomb site. Now 130 left, and they still haven't got ground. They only have downstairs. That bug needs to start making vert, and they need to punish that movement with a little bit more control over the map.
Yeah, and as you say, that hate started to swap to his gadgets, moved off of it now. Here comes some of the work at an angle onto P4, but whiffing his shots is Fantasy. Uh-oh.
They plugged the hole. Virtue was close enough by as well, and they'll go for it yet again. Fantasy not taking any damage here, though, looking to deal with P4 in this spot. Again, they scouted Virtue early, playing over by that spot, and now he'll rush out. He's greeted by Fantasy. Aggression from BDS is not particularly strong. A Nitro Cell will go. Lasmo gets the shot, looking for a second. The guns on BDS now working their magic. And now it's NiP with their back against the wall. BDS with a numbers advantage of 1. Pino needs to be very wary of Terrace. 35 seconds to go. Inside the site, down goes Lasmo. Robbie trades back, looking for his own 3K, as he's gotten so many this time around. 15 kills for Robbie. Frack in lockstep with 14. Khan's finding an opportunity, potentially, as he plays around the bomb chassis. There's players on his left and his right. Frack and P4 with the kills to send us to OT, and the defenders might have something to say about our anti-defense slander just a few rounds ago.
Oh, I was not breathing there. I forgot to breathe. The tension was so high. I mean, if you needed a proof that Siege is close quarter combat, that was insane. The entirety of the 3 minutes played around just one side of the map. In the end, I think BDS understand the win condition. If we play to the time, if we play to the strength of the utility and of the layout of the map, we know that NIP doesn't find solutions easily. They cannot problem solve. I mean, put in their own words, Lilun said that NIP would struggle a little bit on that map, and that Skyscraper was a map where attacking is kind of hard, and I think they really understand that's what they need to abuse. They've got OT defense now, Jesse.
Yeah, exactly. That's where things really start to turn around, and I touched briefly on Lasmo's operator. The fact that they banned his clash forced him to switch his operator. He goes to the Warden, and I think it's the most important kill in that round. The fact that he stops Wizard from jumping in on that blitz, making space inside of Exhibition, changed the entire round, because if he doesn't get killed there, all of a sudden he's running through your sight, he's blinding you, he's getting some free picks. Sure, they get the trade back, they get the vert kill, which is great for the buck, but it's way too late.
Yeah, that Bliss, if it gets into the bomb site, you lose the round 100%. That's utter chaos, and you cannot get rid of him. That was super important kill, and goes to show that even though Frack and Ruby are the two main fraggers on that roster, Lasmo can still step up and get the important kills.
So what happens here? Both sides, 3-3, defenders, attackers, no advantage whatsoever. NiP has the opportunity to attack twice, BDS will defend twice.
I will double down on your take. I will say that defense is still the strongest side, and I will say that I think that both teams have had an entirety of 12 rounds to really figure out what was the win condition. And I think so far it's been time. Time has been the win condition. Now that it's very clear, you will see those turtles set up, and you see the entirety of BDS not going for spawn picks anymore, not going too aggressive in attack, in defense, sorry. They understand. Here, man advantage is a solution.
There's only one thing I disagree with you on. It wasn't me who said this was a defender-sided map. I stand on the shoulders of smarter men, and both of you backed up that it was a defender-sided map.
I agree with myself.
I'm just stealing your talking points. That's it.
Still feels like it could be, but NIP know they've got to do something to flip that narrative. They've got to do something different. That's why we're seeing the sends come out from Pino for the very first time here in overtime, and they're not going for the same direct site. Instead, this is going to be a Geisha side over clear where they open this part of the map, they get T karaoke, and they hopefully get some big picks on these roamers.
And good luck to them. I mean, if you watch, all 4 players of BDS are completely off-site. Almost no one is on site right now. They're committing to this roam and will now just go away. But as one goes away, everyone needs to go back to the bomb site. That's really important. If one stays stuck into Geisha, then that's an easy target. Robbie, Frack on 30 kills. They are the one holding this roam here.
And they've got their eyes set on that gold portion as Robbie now finds himself losing coverage in this Geisha hallway, staring into karaoke. And he'll take some damage from Geisha without really knowing where to go next. He's got sights on black stairs, but he's trapped in this corner. Will have to fight his way out. Virtue goes down. That wasn't the intended target. Robbie will follow shortly thereafter. Nip sinking their teeth into these players off site and coming out with a 2-run advantage.
It's exactly what we mentioned. I said if the guys are just moving away back to the bomb site, that Geisha player is going to be isolated. Exactly what happened. Robbie dies there without any support. If you fall back, everyone falls back together. That's basic fundamental siege, and they get punished because of that.
Pressure's on BDS now. 3 players. Someone's got to do something to get that man advantage back. They're going to rotate back to the site and can play their positions. 2 Nitro cells as well. Gone down to 1 as Frack tosses out his. It's pre-placed at the moment. They've got to find a pick.
They were just swinging, scouting for information. Hates a little bit too belated and could have capitalized to make the numbers for Ninjas and Pajamas even better. They'll have to let the Blitz walk up, but the problem is that Cons is low on HP. Nitro Cell caught by Hates. They will tear through. Suddenly, the kill feed all blue, and it's Pino in a 1v2. He gets 1 now against Lasmo. Diffuser's been dropped. Pino will have to do this all himself. What intel is there to play off of? SMG in hand, but it's against a DMR, and Lasmo wins it. Oh my goodness, BDS take the lead in OT. Map 3 looking most certain at this point.
Around 13, 1v1. One of the youngest players in Siege. The rookie coming through, Lasmo from BDS, up against the veteran, the world champion Pino in the 1v1. But experience is not always the main takeaway. Big play coming out from Lasmo, the only person who was never on that Geisha side roam.
And once again, 2 rounds in a row, Lasmo on that Warden gets the most important kills. The 3 players on the side of BDS in that 3v5 abuse the strength of the bomb site, get the peaks that they needed. And that's the same problem NIP has been facing and BDS have been facing in the late round, trying to execute and break apart that bomb site. The layering of that utility is just too strong, and even if you've got a strong man advantage, you cannot get the trades going and you lose that round.
And that's honestly what Lasmo does best. You think about these young players, and they're often aggressive entries, big roamers. Lasmo's always been a late round player. Only a 6% entry participation here at the Munich Major. That's 3rd lowest in the tournament, only ahead of DD and Surf. His ability to constantly find value late into the round after his teammates have either given him a slight advantage or maybe died and put him in a rough spot, always able to stand up and make that impact has been really impressive. Not a positive KD in this game, but the kills he's gotten have been ridiculously impactful.
And I think now is the best timing to really praise the scouting of BDS, of Liloon and the ETA staff when they started building that roster. If you look at Frack, if you look at Robbie, they didn't pay any buyout. They went and picked the best 3 agents that were available in email. And look at that level, 32 kills, the 2 of them. Some of the best fraggers in Europe, spotted, scouted, brought onto BDS and made it work. From a roster that had many doubting, and me included. I think that they're trying to prove that the mantle is there, that that team really gelled together, and maybe, just maybe, can take NIP onto a 3rd map.
NIP have lost 4 of the last 5 rounds that we've played on Skyscraper. They need to get back into the mental that they had towards the end of their defenses. It's been a while since they've played this side. They're going to go Office Exhibition, the same bomb site that they were able to win at the very end of that first half. Hopefully they can try to convert something to push this into a 15th round.
They're not facing the same problems NIP is facing. They're on attack. They have to problem solve this bomb site. Exact same bomb site they just faced when they were in defense at the exhibition. Now, same theory, right? This is going to be a direct take. We're going to use the Yings and the Blitz to go and flood the bomb site, abusing the smoke grenades and the glass on P4. Is that going to be enough? The same problem holds. There is no ground control. It's sheer utility, the bug downstairs, and the 1, 2, 3 execute. And then after that, you pray you get the kills.
Can't languish too long at this point in time. No damage really been done as P4 now absorbs an awful lot of it right as I speak. Out go the smokes, and this glass will be so oppressive to deal with as he creeps up, but he's kind of lost himself at this point in time, and they know his position due to the Malusi Banshee. Hates with the first one, but suddenly BDS is sweeping Nip out of the bomb site. Diffuser almost went down, but Virtue decides against it. It's all up to Cons now to play ring around the rosy, engaging with Lasmo, shooting through the soft wall. It's a messy one, but BDS is persevering. It's up to Wizard to clutch. The shield is up. Robbie on 16 kills, Frack on 18. It looks like Nip has lost the plot, and it certainly looks like we will need Lair. As Wizard plays around this position. Diffuser continuing to work against them. Wizard looking for an opening, yet to find something. They'll throw the Nitro cell out, pushing in. The shield will see him first, and now the call is made to the remaining players on the side of BDS. Wizard has to make a move quickly. He will surely not have time to deal with 3 players and the case, and they're about to run out of it. Kills be damned. Virtue will get it, but the timer had already given BDS a lifeline, a 3rd map in the books, as BDS pull off an improbable comeback and send us all the way.
You talk about mental resilience there. So good from BDS to stay locked in, start to finish. It's not an easy game, but it's enough to lock it down.
We got one more map. Let's waste no time. We'll see you for Lair on the other side of this break.
What a barn burner of a series we are being treated to here. BDS side a series up 1-1. They keep themselves alive in the tournament, and it was close. Very close, but I'm glad to see that the two players that we asked for to really step it up this series actually made it work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it best. You know, this is a team that is comprised of very talented players, but we haven't seen some of these talented players be able to come alive as of recently, but Robbie and Frack absolutely popping off this game and was a big reason as to why they were able to keep their heads above the water, especially Robbie's performance, similar to what we saw at the Montreal Major, being the top 3 rated player. This is the type of performance we need. But again, it goes to your biggest question is now we're going into a map 3. We can't always rely on
Yeah, it's the same old problem with BDS is when they put in these big performances, you are absolutely loving it for these front 2, but you don't want to be relying on it. You want to see a full team performance. And what I will say in terms of the team performance from a BDS perspective, they started out super strong in their attacks. They then went down 4-6, as you can see here. And when do you need him? Frack, he appears, gets a huge big ace to get his team back over the line. For me, that shows a level of maturity. It shows the level of mental fortitude. It shows progression for this team, and it gives me so much confidence going into map 3 for this team.
I love this as well. I mean, of course, we're talking about momentum, right? And we're looking at that, the way to push it into overtime. I feel like those big moments there really gave them that momentum to really push it through the line in overtime.
Can I just say, I hecking love Skyscraper as a map. It is my favorite map in the entire pool by far. It doesn't get played much in best of ones because it is so defender-sided, but both of these teams, they managed to make it look attacker-sided today.
Oh, listen, I know you talk about you're very confident of them going into this map 3, but again, you have to look at that scoreline. Freck dropping 18, Robbie dropping 16, the highest underneath.
You've got to admit, they are cold with it.
They're nasty with it, but again, you have to then look at the side of NIP. Yes, it was an 8-6 victory, but on NIP side, everyone is relatively close to one another, and that's been the consistency across the board with NIP. So when we're getting into the third map, it's a big question. Are we going to see this taper off?
I mean, that is the big question, right? It is insane to think that it comes down to essentially just a best of 1 between these two teams to decide who makes it to playoffs and who goes home on this final day just before that important playoffs. Now, looking at Lair, as it is going to be our decider, how do we think Lair is going to go playstyle-wise? Who might have the better cards going into it? Please.
Well, I think Lair plays out very similar to Clubhouse. It's very breach-heavy in terms of the bans, the way it plays, the set executes, the particular plant spots. You know, there are only a few across the map on the attack. So it's who can manage that the best. If we say it's similar to Clubhouse, Nip won that, but it was close. When we're inside of a best of 3, you've also got to consider momentum that's currently with BDS.
And we also have to look at that momentum. They're going to be starting on attack where NIP is going to be starting on defense. They're going to find comfort. And if NIP is anyone going to be resilient, you can also look back at their game versus SSG where they would send SSG home in a 7-0 very convincing fashion. And when you just even look at the history of both these teams playing on this map, by far, I would definitely say SAL as a whole plays Lair far more, understands the map far better. And again, NIP in a position now to be comfortable being on that defensive side. I think that momentum shift can easily change by a couple rounds.
What we're saying is, stylistically, it sits with NIP, but momentum sits with BDS.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good way of putting it. Well, we're going to go find out. I wish we could talk so much more about this, but we'll let the game do the talking for us here, though. One map says between these two, only one can survive in the tournament. Lair will give us all the answers.
Yeah, we're very excited to see a final map in this best of 3. Just from what we saw of the players in between the games, it looks like BDS is pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind was relieved. I looked at them and they were all like breathing, and you see Liloon finally breathing again. And then I walked past their locker room as they were prepping this game, and the spirits were high. They were cracking jokes. P4 was super happy overall about having won that map. I don't think they really expected to be able to pull it off, and they did so. And so they feel really like a miracle has happened, and they can maybe make it to the main stage.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of momentum pulled through from that second map. They need that high from Skyscraper to carry on into Lair, because there's a fair number of things working against them in this final decider matchup. They're on Lair, which is a map they have a 3-game losing streak on in the EML, falling to Falcons, G2, and Secret. 3 good teams, but losses nonetheless here on this map. They also have a 3-game losing streak against Brazilian teams. Back at Reload, they lost 3 games. FaZe, Furia, and Loud. Now, this is a different team they're going up against. Nobody's going to doubt that, but still the pressure is high for BDS. SI on the line, major finals on the line, top 8, all so important.
I will counterpoint that because I'm the EML shield here, and I will say this, for BDS to be able to take all 3 of the best EML teams on that map, once again, every single time, it means that they feel confident in that map. And although they lost, I think they got probably the best experience they could, because I think that Secret, Falcons, G2 are 3 of the best Lair teams in the world.
It's a good point too as well. They have some good footage on NIP because they've been playing it a ton here in Munich. They had a 7-1 loss to Weibo early in the tournament, then a 7-0 win against SSG. So we've seen some really good maps from NIP and some really bad maps on Lair from this team. The question is, what do we get today, or do we finally get that 15-rounder?
Most importantly, that 7-0 victory against Space Station was super interesting because they started defense. So they showed every single setup they had, and they showed all of this only, what, 1 or 2 days ago? So you have a full lineup for BDS. They know exactly the way that NIP is playing this, and with the size of their staff, I'm not surprised if they had a lot of counter-strats expecting Lair to be part of that that match.
I mean, Leo, it's like they always say, it's not the size of the staff, it's how you use it.
As they always say.
That's what I hear quite often, actually.
Yeah.
I heard it's a really high-quality staff as well.
That's very good. It's rare. It's rare these days.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And it's sizable as well.
Good opening of the outer mask wall from BDS in this round. Nice, they got that thermite in with no real problems. The wall denial not being brought other than just fantasy on that mute. I'm intrigued by Virtue on this Finka. It's not something we've seen him run on this bomb site in recent memory. Usually he's on the Ace or he's on the Blackbeard. This time Robbie has grabbed over the shield operator and they're going to do their best for a fast execute.
Good job, Robbie. Get 16 kills. Here's your reward. You get to play Blackbeard in the first round of the next map.
And usually he loves that Deimos, so something to see from him probably later on in this game, but still playing that same Deimos position down below the site.
Now, the first problem to problem solve here, the thing that's going to be really important, you see Lasmo's got control over here on TV. On the other side, at the top of green stairs, there's a crossfire setup. Now, they chose to completely ignore that, take that observer control. What they will do then is they will work the backside of A. The goal here is to try and go for the plant on the A bomb site, have Ruby backstab through green stairs, and maybe another backstab through the main or through that solo window.
Only the second finger that we've seen in this entire matchup, and Virtue will manage to make his way out alive as that flash sails over top and allows him a bit of a safe passage.
Look how much NIP has given up. NIP is only on the bomb site. All 5 players out there holding crossfires.
And they managed to take down Robbie, the Blackbeard that was playing down below, watching that hatch. So excellent start, and it was both Robbie and Frack who were able to carry that previous map into the win column for BDS. You're going to need big games out of them today.
Big pause now as Lasbo gets a pick onto Cons. They stall it for a little bit and start the plant.
They've got the smoke, they've got the Tachenka, they've got the fire and the gas grenade to deny the plant. Now, they still have 1 minute to go for the execute. That's the good news for BDS.
Wizard shuts down Frack. He overpeaked maybe a bit too much there. Not before all that utility had been used, so hopefully not all is lost with the Grim off of the board. Now they can have a bit of a pause here. So they will smoke the default spot where Lasmo looks to walk in, and he will instead go through the doorway with the Glass walking in first, but too many targets to see. He's giving himself away. Fantasy a triple, potentially starting this map off in the same way he did on Skyscraper. Virtue gunned down by Hates. What a performance by Fantasy up to this point. He's been an absolute monster, and it's BDS suffering through it in round number 1.
Feels like we're right back at home on Skyscraper. We get a 3K just to start things off, and it's Fantasy, of course. Huge C4 to come through. That late round rotation, they were watching with the Glass, but you had to watch so many different angles on BDS because you already lost a couple of players. You were on your plan B trying to plant inside the smoke. No shot you're going to plant down with the Chonka fire on the main breach. Really nice movements from NIP to force that to get chaotic, force it to get ugly, and eventually capitalize.
And the exact same win condition as on Sky, by the way. They decide, let's not do an extended roam, let's just have a quick crossfire around green stairs. Other than that, you see the 5 players on the bomb site. The denial of the plant was clearly the win here. You see it. You see it because there are 3 gas grenades, you see the 20 fire canisters, and you see the C4. All 3 of those things were made so that BDS thought that it would be safe to go for an execute, but that was the trap set up by NIP to deny it. And as you can see right now, something that is quite similar. They bring the smoke once again for the late round, and the Yukai drones on top of that. It seems to be clear they want to punish BDS for being too slow.
Yeah, they've clearly got a lot of utility in on this round. The Echo, we see a lot from Pino in this bomb site. The smoke from Cons we'll see on almost every bomb site. But the Frost is kind of a weird pick for the bottom floor of Lair. Top floor, sure, we see that a good amount. Puts one of those just under the window inside of filtration. The other one maybe going, look, Barrel's window perhaps? He's still deciding where he wants to go with that one. This is not an operator that I have on record from him in their last 8 Lair basement defenses.
Yeah, it looks like some small adaptations. If you think about it, the way that NIP played that first round was directly a counter-strike to BDS way of playing, trying to play the denial that plant. On the other side, NIP then brings the frost and here plays towards the garage side, trying to be a little bit annoying and cause problems on that entry point. That's two ways of BDS to attack here. And two ways that were denied by the counter-strike.
They've got Fantasy, the star in the previous round, on the run now, as that was the Shield of Virtue vaulting through the window looking for an early opening pick, and early because we are 45 seconds into this round, and already BDS is bearing down on this NIP defense.
So far, it's clean. So far, they've got the control within, what, first 30 seconds. They've already got the ram going. They've got the perfect control. They make the vert. We can clearly see this is going to be a blue stairs execute side. Let's just see how they will counter the smoke and the Yokai drone.
Yeah, they've not gotten to the hard part yet, though, to be fair, right? This is going to be the difficult part, getting down into the execute with so much site utility from NIP. They didn't have to contest with any real roamers. They got back to that bomb site fast on the ninjas.
There's no gas grenade left. They spent it holding those blue stairs. I'm not sure it was worth it. If the Blitz can push in here, then they will have got everything for the execute. The Yokai drone has been set. Look at this. It was beautiful. Let the Blitz being stuck. Then you have the swing of your other player. They get the kill and they can push in. Yokai drone being effectively useless. All three gas grenades spent for nothing.
And now Fantasy will go as well. Lasmo is the one quarterbacking this, leading the charge with his teammates around him. He's sustaining some damage in his position. He allows Virtue to back up, and he will breathe a sigh of relief and go right back into the fray.
They're gonna
mind.
They're going to look for a drop of the defuse kit. Nobody's holding it at the moment on the side of BDS. Lasmo will go back upstairs and take it. They clearly want to take it down this hatch into office. Can still rotate filter stairs, but you can get a really good plant on, especially under smokes when you drop that hatch.
Many things can still go wrong. The Yokai drones are still there. The two of them, by the way. The execute can still be isolated. You need a couple of kills, and you need trades here.
And Virtue has almost no support, but hold on a second. Lasmo gets all but the last. Robbie robs him of the ace. Could you imagine two separate players on BDS acing in the same series? Frack, eat your heart out. Lasmo gets a 4K on the exit, and BDS ties things up.
I feel like I've been glazing this guy all series long. It's not the most amount of kills on his team, but it's always the impactful ones. This time, early round and late, he's able to come in off his teammates' pressure. I think worked really well off the blitz, that the space was being made for him. He's just following up his teammates, doing what is absolutely necessary of him in a push like that. Really big stuff coming out from, once again, the 20-year-old, just turned 20 a couple weeks back.
I think everything was perfect and displayed the real strength of BDS here, which is coordination and strategy. If you think about it, the roam clear was done within 30 seconds with the help of the Blitz. Then the problem solving of the blue stairs. You've got a Yokai drone, you've got a smoke. The Blitz then quick picks to get stunned, and then his teammate just swings behind him to get the kill on the smoke. After that, even then, they take no chances. They do the 5v3 execute, sending the Blitz as the lurk, and everyone else collapsing on the bomb side off the back of this distraction caused by the Blitz. Beautifully played for BDS.
Now, Leo, I know you're kind of new to casting with Parker and I, but one thing that is key with us is I've got a very good nose, and I can smell this game starting to head towards OT. I know it's early, but you look at the games that we've seen from NIP on this map. Once again, it was a 7-1 loss and then a 7-0 win. 2 rounds in, we go back and forth. They look very competitive. This feels like it's going long.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going like this the entire time. If you think about it, Clubhouse could have went either way. I know it was a 7-5 victory for NIP, but I felt like both teams were playing really well. And Skyscraper was even more of a breather. And if you look at this, once again, the first 2 rounds are extremely close, and they're fighting tooth and nail on both sides. Really both deserving of that main stage slot.
Gents, do we know who the winner of this game will play?
So this is going to be really interesting because of the way that I think the Bushlock systems work. The seeding makes it, so if I'm not mistaken, because of Furia winning, whoever wins this match is the 6th seed, which would mean that if BDS wins it, for example, they would start in the winner bracket. Now this is massive because the 2 other teams that won today will be in the lower bracket, and they will be the one team that joins the upper bracket.
Yeah, big deal. Even if you have the same record, 6, 7, and 8 are 3 very different seeds.
6, 7?
In particular, being the one starting on the top floor, playing tomorrow, starting in the upper bracket. So lots on the line for these 2 teams. We'll have to wait a little bit, I think, to get the exact matchups. There's still math to be done, Parker, but for now, all that matters is getting into the playoffs. This top floor, always an important one to clear when you're going for bunks and briefing. They started with a bunks breach, but now here comes the top clear.
And a push in from Robbie, using the sound of that can opener to conceal his position. As I have to imagine that was the clash, yep, of Cons, who keeps flirting with the outside of this map, but
the real big problem with that Bugs bomb site most of the time is how do you crack open that vert? How do you get rid of the players up top? And now, with the Green Bees and the Lion, this is the moment where it happens. And that doesn't work. No strike, nothing. Just a single player swinging, that's Robbie. The others held off by the gas grenades.
And Lasmo will keep him in this position with the fire spreading. The Bees also giving the position away at Wizard. The only one taking damage from the fire seemed to be Lasmo himself. As that shotgun in the hands of the Warden, still right now directed at center mass on the door frame. It was good enough for one kill, yet to find a second. Fantasy dies elsewhere to P4, and we're back to even numbers.
That was the only anchor to start this round. You've got Cons who's still playing around green stairs, but it's the start. There was 4 players top floor and just Fantasy in the site. So you always do have the option for this bunks briefing bomb site. Do we just want to ignore that top clear? Go ahead and execute.
And it seems that they will do so. Look at Lasmo. He's alone by himself, top floor. He's trying to burn time. The rest of the team is going to face the execute. Now, the important thing is, when they go for the execute, the 2 up top here, they need to go in the vert. They need to go aggressive so that no one can play the vertical play. That's one of the guys that were supposed to go for the execute. That's gonna be a tough one.
Lasmo finally gets Wizard, as that was some damage done to Frack. That could have gone from bad to worse. Virtue dies, still yet to find a kill. Hates and Cons will clean up. Add Pino to the mix, and all 3 get an exit frag to give the round back to Ninjas in Pajamas. That Warden up top, providing so much value for so long. Wizard absolutely keeping things intact for almost 2 minutes of the round.
And I'm really glad you brought up the Warden, because the reason you play a Warden on the top floor on that bomb site is because if a team is going to ignore the top floor, they're generally going to flood the site with smokes, sometimes ascends walls as well, which Warden doesn't counter, but still you're really trying to obscure that vision, and Warden can be a great operator for making sure that you have the vision regardless. But the problem with that adaptation from BDS, the problem with giving up on top floor and just trying to hit the site, is the only smokes they had were being held by Lasmo, and he was the guy top floor trying to stop those players. It's going to be impossible to get a plant down unless you can rely on Lasmo walking in and getting all those kills. You get some vert frags. It just wasn't going to be enough there, so a little unfortunate for BDS. It was clear they really planned on clearing the top floor, and once that went south, the adaptation wasn't strong enough.
I mean, I was going to ask Leo flat out, is that a good use of the Capitao on Warden duty up top? Should you not need him for the execute unless you can kill the Warden and then use the smokes and flames from above? But if you don't kill the Warden, the value would be more on a direct site hit.
I will say this, the biggest problem with that Capitao is if you look at the layout of the map here, as we're on top down, they need to get rid of the player that was here on the B-bomb side, which was above bunks. And that Capitao is completely useless. You have no angles to fire the safe spot up top. So you need to get rid of that guy playing in the L corner that we just saw, and that's going to be a really tough one. The Capitao is useless for that, and that's why Robbie, when he swings, is alone, because the rest of the doors were held by gas grenades. The gas grenades themselves bought NIP the round by isolating Robbie. He dies first. After that, no one can pick up the guys above, and at this moment, if you still have vert on this Bugs bomb site, you know you're going to win the round.
Well, the first site rotation goes through. NIP take a short lead up 2-1, and they'll go back to the strongest site on the map, top floor here, defending against BDS. Very much the same lineup. The only adaptation is they've dropped the Azami. They've brought in the Bandit being played out by Cons, hoping to keep those mask walls closed a little bit longer than last time. We see already that they are a little bit worried. Lasmo might know that there's a Bandit on the other side here, or perhaps not.
Is this going to work? It will.
What is Bandit doing?
Oh, no, that's sad.
Haven't you been praising Cons all day?
Yeah, well, you know, every player, it happens to the best. I will say this.
Can you answer me this question? How many Bandit batteries did he put down?
None. He was supposed to...
Say the number again?
Yeah, but none. But listen, the way the Bandit trick works, you want all 4 batteries because you want to keep doing it. I know
I'm aware.
It might seem weird, but
I'm aware of how
the thing
it
is,
works.
at LAN, it's always tough to have the same sound as at home. And I will say this, I was one of the players that probably had the worst sound when I was at LAN. I didn't hear anything. You did not put me on Bandit trick duty because of that. Maybe Comes is the same.
I also think you want to keep those batteries in pocket because you want it to be a surprise. You've got the mute jammer there, so that he'll put the extra thermic on, and then you have the opportunity to move the Bandit in, but he didn't put the Bandit in. So.
The same as if Kaid is open, you can do that too.
You can do that, or you just do the liquefact. You mute and you go, I'm muting, guys, and you listen to the Bandit trick. And that's easy peasy.
Yep.
Well, the wall is open, regardless of anything that might have gone down. They still have all 5 defenders left alive, but you've got to imagine the push is going to be coming in pretty quick. Robbie already up those lobby stairs.
That's Robbie asserting himself now as he had 2 targets that he could have hit, but he doesn't find anything. Cons dies with all those bandit batteries in pocket still. So almost no effect whatsoever from that bandit from a utility perspective.
The main win condition is still the same. You still see smoke, you still see Tachenka. That's going to be the denial of the plant. Now, one big difference here. BDS has the man advantage. When they go for the diffuser, when they go for the plant, they should be able to play aggressive. No, they've lost that.
It's a flank. It's a big flank that comes in, and the SMG's alive on the side of Nip, and the advantage goes back in their favor. My goodness, BDS getting swamped at this point. Robbie still fighting for his life in this position with pound for pound one of the best guns in the game. He's still got all 3 of his death marks as well. Unsure how successful they'll be with these mute jammers, but he's got to make something work. No, Fantasy is on the ground, and Nip will stretch their lead by 1.
One big mistake. They've got everything in control. They have 5v4. They have the side control as well. They can flood. Problem is they hesitate. And that hesitation gives enough time for NIP to send a lurker up the green stairs, backstab the main working force that was supposed to be the distraction of the execution. As soon as they lose those 2 players, the rest of NIP can then forget about the backside, that's cleared, focus on the front, and collapse on the rest of the BDS roster. Hesitation cost BDS the round here.
I was kind of confused why how Fantasy got to the position he was in, rotating up those green stairs. But while we were all focused on cons and the main wall and the bandit tricking that was or was not going on, Fantasy ended up dropping down the site hatch at about 2 minutes left on the clock. He stayed down below the site for the majority of that round, never really contested despite Robbie being down there on the demos. And then I think it was really his flank hitting the back of that push, disrupting the man count advantage that the BDS were trying to play with that started to put the final nails in that coffin.
I love the Denari setup that we're seeing so far. This is going to be really useful to prevent anyone pushing in garage. I cannot wait to see where he's going to use the rest. But the double up here, as you can see, the Scopus is going to be really annoying to clear. The Denari on the right side of the bomb site will be there to help when they go for the execute. And then the rest can be played upstairs. This is going to be really tough to roam clear. And this is a direct adaptation to how BDS countered things. As you can see, the Denari traps I mentioned make the site stronger. Why is that? Because they're extending up top. They need the site to be strong with utility in case a rush happens because they're so extended. Now that's a direct adaptation because last time we played this bomb site, BDS won, and that's the only attack because they roam cleared in the span of 20 seconds. Now facing a full roam, it's going to be a whole other level of roam clear that they need to pull off.
You're excited to see the Denari. The devs are excited to see Skobos, Denari, and Demos all be used at the same time. Some of the newest operators to the game. And obviously very important and impactful. Skopos, an operator you don't see all that often, tends to get more value on the bigger maps, and you're hard-pressed to find a bigger place to play than on Lair.
Look at this. You can see directly the ground floor being taken. They're getting close to the bomb site. One draws was close to the bomb site. As always, you expect it with P4 and with BDS. If there is a huge extension, they will look to directly take a shortcut to the bomb site, ignoring completely all of the roamers.
Every single player is near the site at the moment. They're waiting for their moment with the logic bomb. That could be it.
Great counter to the Nook as well. Now it's Lasmo taking some damage, and Frack is desperately hoping for some type of entry. Oh my goodness, the EMP picked incorrectly and buried by Fantasy. Down goes Frack, a far cry from what he was capable of doing in the previous map. Robbie and Virtue on the board though, and now BDS has their own advantage in numbers. Virtue continuing to walk in. He sees the bomb chassis, not far removed. P4 now on the board. All 3 kills from BDS coming from different players. Lasmo's the one with the defuse kid though, and Virtue will hound these final 2 players on the side of Nip. Hates and Pino on the run. Robbie finds Hates. Pino guns 1 down and spots the shield as Virtue gets the final kill to keep the lead just to 1 round.
Virtue is 100% the hero of that round. The fact that he gets the kill of the only anchor that was covering labs, and then afterwards, I want you to pay attention to the fact that he pushed towards the last anchor and decided then at the last moment to retreat, waiting for his teammates to then be ready, and then 1 more charge, taking off the last remaining player. Once again, a good call based off BDS. Why is that? Because 1 drone of Robbie was really close to the bomb site. They saw this was an extended room, and based on that information, they go directly to his side.
Yeah, I think sometimes you see this op lineup and you see what BDS are thinking, and maybe a lesser team would have just sprinted into the site, try to get an explosive plant down before anybody can really react, but it was almost a slow, methodical push through the locker side of the map, right? Where Virtue, as a spearhead, took his time, cleared up the util that he needed to, found the players as they presented themselves to him, and he had teammates around him as well, covering for those flanks that might have been trying to come in. Some of those top floor players like Pino and Hates not really able to have so much of an impact late in that round.
And even then, the decay KB that's supposed to be there to entry and to clear the roamers. The KB stays up top. And as everyone goes to the side, the KB then backstabs the roamer and plays their own game. She goes and lurks on the roamer, and she gets the kills. And that's the beauty of that call from BDS. What a great adaptation.
A couple of missed opportunities perhaps from Virtue on the Blitz on the very first map of Clubhouse, but that feels like ages ago. Now we see him playing so well with that operator on Lair.
I don't remember my life before this best of 3 game. It's been a long one, but an enjoyable one. And really does go to show just how even the lowest ranked teams in both EU or EML and Brazil or SAL are so competitive with one another. It just goes to show you what the regions look like outside of interregional play.
It seems that everyone but NA is starting to grow and be better.
Okay, well. We got him 83-0. We got him 83-0. Wildcard are getting better too. I like how they've been looking this event.
It's been a very competitive event for all regions, frankly. I mean, even APAC. CAG went out obviously 0-3, but they had brutally difficult matchups. Enterprise gave a really good fight across their games. There's still time for Weibo to make main stage in their matchup, which comes up next. No matter what happens here between NiP and BDS, G2 and Weibo will be the final 2 teams here in the Swiss stage, in the group stage, before we move to main stage matches tomorrow.
Now, looking at this bomb site, we've said it before, the biggest problem for BDS was how do we get rid of the players up top? As we've mentioned before, the best way to defend this bomb site is having Vert above the bomb site, and now 3 players are holding it, including the Warden that you praised before, because he's going to be the one denying the plant. Now, you have 2 ways to go about this. Either to try and lurk and get a kill on the anchors, either you full front problem solve the top floor, and so far they seem to kind of ignore it. They've opened up the walls that they need, and now they're starting to work towards execute.
Down goes Robbie at the hands of Hate, still holding so much control. Frack was not far removed. He can taste this bomb site. He's got the diffuser in the hands of P4 right next to him. A little bit over a minute to go. So a pretty good pace right here by BDS.
But no control whatsoever. They've got no man advantage. Jesse, I don't know how you feel about this, but how do you problem solve Vert? They're so far away.
Yeah, they don't even have smokes to try to sneak a plant in. No sends, nothing. So I really don't know what the game plan is. BDS rotating back up to top floor now, I think recognizing that this has to be the move. They can't just plant, but this is so difficult still.
You have 45 seconds left to clear the top floor. That's not going to cut it.
Fantasy's just on another level at this point. Through these last 2 maps, he's been dominating the competition. Wizard gets one, but it's traded back immediately, and Virtue springs from 0 kills to 3 in the span of a round and a half. It's him and Frack. Frack still searching for his first kill. He might go the first half without one. As he creeps up, they're outnumbered 2-1. NiP just waiting ever so patiently. Frack does not get a kill through this first half, and it all falls onto the shoulders of the Aussie. And in typical Australian fashion, this round has gone completely upside down. NiP takes it and takes the first half.
A brilliant first half to come out from NIP again on that final bomb site. Just not sure if BDS have got the game plan that they need to try to approach it. Felt like they really had no solutions to the problem being presented to them. NIP, excellent top floor hold. Not in a winning position just yet, but 4-2 half on Lair. You're happy about that?
No, absolutely. I think that overall very much in control in that defense side, right? If you look at the first round, they know that denial of the plant is the win condition. If you look at the last round, they know that holding up top and top floor is the win condition, and they do so perfectly, using the right operators, using the right utility, and using crossfires, team play all the time to isolate picks on the side of BDS. Now BDS on the defense side, we'll see if that gives them an edge, an advantage. And they probably need it. We've seen that their resilience can happen. We've seen that on Skyscraper. Now is the moment to prove it again at the most dire of moments. The last map, the one that matters the most for both the main stage here at Munich Major, but also for SI.
When BDS played Lair up against Secret earlier in the tournament just 3 days ago, they started on defense. They won just 2 rounds out of the 6 that they played against Team Secret. Both of them were top floor. So they managed to win this one in rounds 1 and 4, and then all of the other bomb sites they were unable to find any success on. NIP will no doubt have known that. They will have no doubt have watched that game up against Secret. So maybe BDS get this first one, but the real problems for them on their defense start in round 8. How do you win those other sites?
They'll have to get inspired by what NIP did well, and I think holding that top floor strong, especially for the Bugs bomb site, is going to be interesting. We can already see the use of the most powerful operators once again. Those setups are kind of strong if you think about it. With the Fenrir, the Azami, the Smoke, the Mira, the Warden, all of those operators are made to be played in close quarter combat, in crossfires, really using the natural layout of the map on that top floor. They'll try and prevent any entrance towards that green area. And obviously you can see that NIP is going farther away from it and trying to go towards observation.
Cons loves this Monty on this bomb site. Part of the reason why BDS wanted to ban it out. He's going to move over to the Flores instead, which has also been a common pick for him on this site. Not overly reliant on the shield, but overly reliant perhaps on a pick to start getting this top floor attack going. Wizard has a great opportunity to clean up Virtue, but he's not quite able to find the head. Deal about 20 damage to the Australian instead and have to back off playing on the bathroom window.
And curious Mira window here set up that gives intel on the NIP as to where the anchors are. That's going to be quickly getting removed.
I'm surprised it wasn't popped. You see that on bank basements sometimes. It goes the other way and they pop it open.
Hates was the main focus for BDS and was also the one leading the charge for NIP, and he will now rest easy for the next 1 minute and 50 seconds, giving BDS a small advantage. Who takes over the lead here to rush in first? Does it fall to Wizard?
Wizard will be the backstabber here. You can clearly see it because he's playing striker. He's all the way on that lone solo window on the backside. The clear of the attack and everyone else, the diffuser with Fantasy are there to try and plant. Exactly like BDS tried on the first round. Was supposed to plant on that A bomb site. But now that they've lost one player, that plan has moved. They need some frag. They need something to change the pace of this round and change the way they attack. That kill is very important.
Oh my, Pino reading into that one so effectively, and a Nitro Cell thrown up, assuming that Pino would continue his aggression, but he holds back for the time being, and now it's Robbie getting real aggro on the door. BDS mounting a comeback, as you mentioned, taking over the kill feed, leaving Pino and Wizard in a 2v4. Familiar spots for both these teams. They have been outnumbered 2-1 through several rounds, both of them going back and forth through that first half.
Frack killing Fantasy with Diffuse get down too. That's operations. They're going to have to re-pick it back up. They are nearby, but that's going to waste even more time as they need to get this plant down sooner rather than later.
Frack might have had a bad first half, but he finds 2 kills in the very first round, and Lasmo will blow things up to end the first round of the second half. BDS doing what needs to be done as defenders on Lair, and they're within 1 of tying this game.
It's the typical situation where you don't want to give your opponent some confidence back. You can hear BDS getting hyped. You can still feel like they believe they can do it. They're on their easier side here. They believe in their defending side, and you don't want to give up that lead. You don't want to let them come back into the match, because after that, you've seen the mental on the side of BDS. When those fraggers are fueled on confidence, there's nothing you can do to stop them.
Now they have to go back to the bottom bomb site, and of course this is where they've struggled the most against Team Secret. This top floor was successful for them. They should be able to get at least 2 round wins if they can repeat that. That ties us at 4-4. I'm taking the round win from round 10 as it's likely to come then from BDS, but if we assume they can win that one, it's evened out. More work still to be done from this team. They've got to keep that momentum going from the previous map, from the Skyscraper, to keep themselves in this game. Their defensive lineup was often reliant on some big Malusi plays from Lasmo. You've got this Fenrir setup there, the Mira setup, I should say, from Robbie, which is exactly what they're running against Secret as well. The castle being brought by Frack. This is the same look that they showed a few days ago.
And I'm assuming, as you can see, the adaptation on the side of NIP, they want to roam clear, they want to abuse the vert with the fuse, with the ram, with the sledge. 3 different operators to help you get the most out of that floor, that top floor, and then after that, you can see here, the Deimos and the Dokaibi, Wizard and Fantasy, they're going to be the main actors of that roam clear.
And this is probably because when they watched BDS play this defense against Secret, they noticed that it's not a very heavy commitment to the top couple of floors. There's not a heavy presence that we do see, but P4 making a bit of a move. He's actually Skybridge at the moment, just on the other side of this doorway. Cons with this drone should be able to spot him out. He's running around the map still on the side of Frack, or I should say P4, being a nuisance to clear out.
Now why is it P4? Because it's the mute, because it's going to counter the Dokaibi, the Deimos, because it's so important to use that utility. Well, it's too late. They had information on that guy, and Caster Curse comes again. I start to understand how this works, guys.
And Hates will punish him for that one. And offload the entire mag into the body. I'm assuming both of these teams in relatively competitive form. You think he's crying? Are you sad?
I'm sad. I cost him his life. No, let's be honest. It was the good droning part of NIP. I think that P4 was too late in the setup. If you really want to surprise them, you need to be there initially, and you need to not be running around and being so obvious about your secret.
I mean, I started my point that they were all 5 players in the basement because they were for a moment, and then he runs back up the top floor. So I think he was definitely a little bit later than he wanted to be. Unfortunate for the captain of BDS, but can still do the IGLing from down on the cams. Will do what he can to support his teammates here.
He's done a great job at burning time a little bit. Now the problem is that if you look at the side of BDS, what is the win condition here? How do they deny the plant? It's quite clear for the side of NIP. They take the vert and they're going to execute down those blue stairs exactly as you see this door frame. That's where they will go for the plant. You can already guess it. Now the problem is with that castle off connector, when it's going to be removed, at this moment, what do you have to deny? 1 C4, 3 gas grenade. Is that enough to deny and execute? I'm not sure, especially if NIP has got the full vert.
They'll continue to tear away now just above this bomb site. The Sledge of Hates, who made such a spectacular splash earlier in this round, now showing up to do some utility work and guard the rest of his teammates, setting up for a possible execute that will come sooner rather than later after a set of extreme home makeover. He's now deciding maybe a more direct take and will move over closer to this bomb site, just pushing his way in.
I thought he was just gonna go into it like this.
I have the same suspicions as you did. A drop in from Cons on this fuse shield, an unorthodox operator, but so far it is paying off.
They don't know.
And they're waiting. BDS getting baited into this. Pino gunning down Lasmo. Chaos thrown into the midst of it. Pino finding 3. That'll be all she wrote. As Frack now stands against the remaining 4. No Pino, no problem. Wizard seals the deal, and the lead for NIP goes back up to 2 rounds.
I would say the last time that we saw BDS defend, right, top floor, I thought the most important kill came from Frack. He had a really good swing to down the diffuser. This time, you gotta think maybe Frack, if he's a little bit faster, could have had more of an impact. He flanked up those yellow stairs. It was the right decision. A little late, though.
And take time to adapt our defense.
I think the Kate budget are banned. I'm gonna play, I think, a Mira on site. I can play the Mira. I can put the Mira Toki for you, Rob, and I can play, we can play a Mira trick on the second one. And you have tube if they play sense, okay?
Yeah.
Davey?
Yeah. I can take the flash now.
Yeah.
You can take flash.
Or the Jaeger for Rob on Doki. Yeah.
I think Clash is more game changer. For
You
this.
take mute, Jake, or what? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Take it back with your Clash, Vivi.
Nice little cup of coffee.
Remember to group up and relax the void.
Very interesting how much of a backseat role Lilun took during that timeout.
Yeah, she gave full lenience to all of the players. You know that in defense, the IGL has a little bit less impact. Everyone can have his own initiative, bring his own operators. They are generally given a role on the map, and then they can play around the operators that they want for this. And I think that's what they're coming up with, right? They're trying to find a solution, each in their own individual areas. They're trying to come up with one operator and one way to deny the way NIP has been playing. I'll be honest, the biggest problem in that one round loss, I think, is the way BDS has been playing that defense. I don't think the win condition was strong enough. 3 gas grenade, 1 C4, that's just not gonna cut it. One mute roaming upstairs was not gonna work either. They need something a little bit stronger and more initiatives, I feel like.
It's very strategic attack timeout as well coming in from Liluna. I think maybe recognizing that the team's mental is still doing well. She doesn't need to be forcing these players to get back into it, doesn't need to be coaxing the mental as much. This team is calm. They are still playing a high level of Siege. It's just the little things that maybe are not going the way that they need them to.
There's also a confidence aspect to it too, right? You don't want to shatter a team's confidence.
Yep.
You need to be confident in order to mount a comeback. If P4 feels like his calls are bad and he's not getting the support from his coaching staff and they're trying to interject too much, that can hurt the in-game calling.
Yeah, there's a massive, intricate message in the fact that the head coach takes the timeout, but then leaves the entirety of the timeout to the players to talk.
Yeah.
It reinforces one sentiment. I trust you guys.
Yep.
I trust you guys to take the right decision. I'm going to step back and I'm going to leave you this time so you can come up with the right defensive strategies. Now, on Skyscraper, BDS was down 3-5. Exact same scenario. And in the end, they fought back. They brought it back in overtime and won it. That's why I think they trust themselves to bring it back.
Remember back on NIP's defenses of Bunk's briefing, BDS had very few smokes on a lot of those executes. We see not 1, not 2, but 6 smokes being brought by NIP in this lineup. That means that if they have to ignore that top floor, if they can't clear it out, they will still have a chance to cheese this plant.
Pino's been taking a more forward approach on this map than we typically see. You think that some of the smokes are also to enable a player who's hot at the moment?
I think overall, it's not so much about one specific player, it's about having all 3 players with the right idea of preventing the top floor or the vertical to play around the Bunk's home site. Look at this. All of them are committing to clearing that vertical top floor. It's working right now with 1 kill. Do you see the difference with the way BDS did it? They ignored it or struggled to problem solve it. Here, the entirety of the NIP roster is focused on getting that control.
That door opens immediately. Virtue slaughters Wizard on the other side, but they trade it right back, not before Lasmo can get on the board. And Pino will find his 10th kill right now, leading the entire lobby.
Impact.
Lasmo's got to be a hero, Parker.
Now he's going to be isolated. He's stuck into a 1v3 here.
Where does he go? He's flashed. He goes into the ground. That's where he goes. Ninjas in pajamas, 3 sets of shovels, all digging deep, and now it's P4. We talked about confidence. When he played against Team Secret on this map, it was P4 who top fragged just a couple days ago. Is he able to pull out that same magic against a team that statistically has not reached the same levels as Team Secret? We'll find out. He'll need to add 3 to this tally. The glass is there. He doesn't even get 1 series point, qualification point for Ninjas in pajamas.
You can see the experience from Pino in that round, right? Playing so passive on the glass, aware that this guy's got to be green stairs. He's going to be flanking, and there's nobody better to hold a flank than the glass. Pino, this is his 15th S-tier event of his career, all of them with this NIP organization. He's put in so much work, so much of his life has been given to this team and this game, and now he is just 1 round away from all the paying off, going back to the top 8.
Just the proactive communication, okay? When we need to retake something, focus on something, okay, we retake this and retake this.
You can see P4 doing his IGL rule, remobilizing troops, giving energy, focusing on the comms. I think, you know, looking at this round, you look at this, you think the Blitz is being sent with the glass, with the Riora. Every single NIP player was involved in clearing that top floor. And this is a stark difference with the way BDS was approaching things. They had 2 players downstairs working the site and 3 working the top floor vert. My problem with that is that you don't have enough utility or manpower to break that top floor defense. But if you look at the way NIP does it, they commit everything to grab that. And that is why they are managing to win that round. Now they're back. BDS is back. You mentioned it before. Round 10. They're back on that 1 bomb site where they've got such a great win rate. The interesting piece is now Combs has seen it once. He can adapt.
That's exactly the problem, right? I mean, it's going to get harder every time you play the same bomb site if you don't also change up your strategy. And I mean, looking at BDS so far, we do see a bit of a change up, right? A couple of these operators have swapped out. We've got P4 in the Tachanka. That's going to be brand new. Smoke being brought in as well from Lasmo. He was on the Mira last time with that interesting setup over on the mask wall.
They're doing exactly the setup that NIP did in the very first round of this map, which will be the Smoke and the Tachanka playing to try and deny the plant, and at the same time the Warden here. I am not sure playing off time and giving up as much as possible is the right play against a team that is full of confidence. NIP should be able to clear things quickly and then have enough time to work until the execute. It's a tough call. It's a tough call and a big gamble right now.
They banded out the Blitz. That was only really used on the Bunk's briefing clear. They didn't need it on the top floor or the basement, so you got to imagine that that won't affect NIP for these next 2 rounds. It's going to be all about who gets this opening pick, and Fantasy's hunting.
I mean, he's been feeling good. Why not? He and Pino, most of the offense here for this team, and he almost gets Frack. Frack's 3 kills, all coming in the same round, if memory serves correctly. Maybe I'm wrong. Actually, I think I am wrong.
You are.
I think it was a 2K and then 1. I'm getting the nod from Jesse, the numbers boy.
It's not in front of me, but that sounds right.
Thank you.
I don't like what's going on. The Brava is hiking utility onto the bomb site. There is nothing to deny the opening of the walls. The Thermite is ready to open the wall onto A. You've got already operations control. At this point, they've got everything they need. The real big problem now will be how do you plant facing the fire of the Tachanka and facing the smokes.
Well, Robbie will start things off, getting rid of Pino. Hates will follow. Lasmo, the only one to die on the side of BDS. Action happening very quickly at the halfway mark. Nip coming out on the wrong side of that engagement, but at least they do trade out the smoke. Now only the Tachanka remains.
It's an important pick to get. They're going to rotate their hard breach back over to operations to try to plant inside that mask wall. Wizard actually goes in for below the bomb site. I'm not sure what his goal is going to be down there. Could walk up the green stairs, could maybe pressure over towards the lobby side as well. He's got a couple options, but you just don't really see a glass there. And okay, just chooses to rotate back over with Cons. Cons is the only remaining smoke grenade, so makes sense to play together.
Wizard has become P4. It's exactly as the first round, where P4 was covering with the glass the plants, and we'll have to face all of the gas grenades, the C4, not the gas grenades, sorry, the fire canisters and the C4. They're going to have to play for the kill. Planting is not going to cut it here with how much denial is there.
Both players on BDS falling back, allowing the glass to get in ever farther, and they fire away using Fenrir's gadgets so effectively. Robbie is no more. Down goes Fantasy and Cons in a 1v3. BDS will almost certainly prolong this unless Cons has narrowed it down to just 2. 20 seconds left. He will have to hurry and go for frags. Unless he somehow manages to steal a plant away, which I think is very unlikely. No. Frack holding the doorway. He and Tachanka not too far removed. One of them was bound to get the final kill. And we will continue on. Nip still on the precipice of greatness, but yet to achieve it.
Yeah, doing their best in the end there. I really liked what we saw from Virtue coming through on that Warden. He was battling against the Glaz, the two operators that can see through the smoke. But, of course, as of a few years ago now, Glaz, he's got to stand still to see through that smoke. You're pushing up aggressively. The advantage will be towards the Warden. He sees you, you don't see him. Nicely played by Virtue at the end there. I do think the advantage was just too big to come up against.
Yeah, and as we've said before, right, BDS knows how to play around this top floor bomb site, the one with the highest win rate.
Yep.
Now, the comeback starts. They have 2 more rounds of match point to save. I want to see a direct adaptation here to the way they play the basement. I think the basement defense they had without the roam clearly was not going to cut it. You've seen it before, right? When they had that mute roaming up top alone without support, he got killed instantly, and after that, you could see an IP execute properly. Now, adaptation has been called. Scopos is there. Robbie is there on the Fenrir. I'm expecting these guys to put a much better fight up top. The important thing is how much time can they burn and can they end the round up top?
We see a lot of Scopos play on this bomb site. I don't think I've ever seen it from Frack. Not in the last 8 defenses that they've played on this bomb site. So this might be a bit of a thorn in their side. Was trying to do that P4 roam with the mute jammers last time, was a little bit slow. You can be a lot faster on this Scopos, and most importantly of all, you can get back to safety if you do get droned out.
I don't think you remember how Wizard used this operator back in the first half.
I think he was already using it as a roamer. It's probably almost on the same bomb site, right?
He was the same site, yeah.
It was the same site, yeah. It was back in round number 5.
So we're looking at the same lineup for an IP as well. You have 2 players that are there for the room clear, the Dokkaebi and the Deimos. The rest is supposed to be there when they get the control above cafeteria to try and make some vertical play onto the bomb site. Now, the most important thing, and we've said it before, the round here is going to be won in the roam. How much time can they burn?
So far, the drones haven't really found Freck's second body. He himself is down in the bottom floor. I know we saw him set up his utility top floor, and there they go. They find it, and they will clear it out without any real problems. Takes some time now, but I would say that's pretty fast. 60 seconds, they've cleared out the only roam potential.
I'm not a fan of this. At the moment, no one is playing on the ground floor, which means that technically all 5 players are downstairs, and they're going to have to play towards the retake. Now, that retake is going to have to come through the stairs. We saw Frack try an attempt at the last time they played on basement. It was way too late. If you look at the setup right now, which denial do you have? Smoke has these guys grenades, you have maybe the C4 on Warden. That's pretty much it. If you look at the utility here, they've got almost the same, if not less utility than they had on the round where they lost this against a good execute.
It's something that wasn't really visualized there, but the moment those boogie drones started to go, everybody on BDS moved from their position. They completely shuffled the deck and moved their forces around to predict where this actual execute was going to come from, likely spearheaded by this fuse shield yet again.
You've got the fuse, you've got the ram, you've got the sledge, Jesse.
Yep.
It's going to be a really tough one to play under that vert.
NIP have shown up with the exact same look that they won the last attack with. Round number 8, they looked exactly the same. Frack with his flank now must win this fight.
You need a trade there. Someone needs to help him. Robbie was there. He dies. No trade.
It's almost like there's a bit of fear struck into the hearts of BDS as they sit idle. Wizard finding 2 very quick picks, crushing these defenders, leaving even more on the weight, the shoulders of Virtue, Lasmo, and P4, but Lasmo does get on the board. He's been the best player over the last couple rounds for BDS, but he is no more. Right in the midst of the gas, Cons will have to escape from this position. A nice toss by Virtue. 30 seconds to go. They'll shuffle out that defuse kit. They're going to try to bait out smokes onto the fuse, or maybe he just takes matters into his own hands and goes for a straight engagement, buying time for Fantasy to get the defuse kit down, but he's finished off by P4. A blind spot on the side of Nip, so the guns will come out. A drop in by Hates. P4 guns him down. Khan's now under fire, getting real close, but BDS has almost stuck the landing. Wizard will need to ace, but Virtue just plays the time, and they stay alive again.
It's not clean, it's not the greatest, but it's enough at the end. The two veterans on this team, P4 and Virtue. What a ridiculously smart round played by them in the late. We thought Wizard was going to crack it wide open. 3 big kills, stopping the double flank. Not enough, though.
Perfeito, velho. Só que ninguém fala que não tem nó do ace, que a gente precisa da mira do A2, tá ligado? A porta lá não tava nem barricada. Pelo menos, se a gente vai plantar ali, mano, se a gente quer plantar ali, ou plantar atrás da bomba, tá ligado? Que o cara do A2 não pega também. Se a gente mirasse, tá ligado? A gente tinha DD pra nós, tá ligado? Então, mano, só corrige isso de comunicação, mano. Eles vão provavelmente no bombe de baixo, no bombe do meio. Demorou? Então eu acho que o que a gente faz, mano? Mano, vamos fazer uma progressão ali, de Blackbeard ali e tal, com Ace, a gente abrindo as paradas na bomba. Tá ligado? Se os caras fizerem um road verde.
Tipo verde?
É, ou uma FOD verde também. Se pá que a FOD verde é até melhor contra eles. Porque eles vão se matar pra nós.
Tá, mas se não for uma road verde, você acha que a gente faz o domínio controle?
Então, não, eu acho que a gente faz a plant bait.
Tá, perfeito.
Eu acho que é melhor. Tá ligado? Vamos fazer a plant bait. Bora.
Perfeito, bora. Bate aí, frente.
Sounds like he was calling an attack here. I felt like he was speaking about Blackbeard. Yeah, exactly. And they're going to go and pick it, I think. Just to go back to that last round, impressive way of losing it for an IP, I will say this. Cons makes the right call, I will say this. He gives the diffuser to the teammate behind him, and then goes on to push. The problem is, Fantasy went for a plan where he was fully exposed from any angle. So for the fuse shield was supposed to go and bait people as the plant was going down. The problem is the fuse doesn't push far away, and Fantasy is directly available, and anyone can get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, really tough round for an NIP, and that's going to be one that I think haunts them if this doesn't go their way. They'll have one more chance to lock it down before overtime, and I mean, this is where you've got to rely on your veterans. It was the 2 oldest players in the server that just clutched that 2v4, Virtue and P4, who have been so good in these high-pressure moments for BDS. I think if you're NIP, you've got to do the same. We see these high-pressure moments. A guy like Fantasy, he's been to a lot of big events, but sometimes when you're a star fragger, those nerves can still get to you. We've got to see guys like Pino, guys like Khans stepping up and holding down the fort for the Ninjas.
I suppose this depends on whether or not you're a glass half full or glass half empty kind of person. But Nip have always struggled to close these games out effectively. Back on map number 1, BDS pushed them to round 12. Nip did win that 12th round, to their credit, and ended up winning in regulation. Here on Skyscraper, it was BDS clawing back. Then they win 4 rounds in a row and they take the whole map. Now here, it's 2 rounds to push us to this 12th round. Yet again, Nip, when they get to the finish line, they do stumble a little bit. Now the question is, this has more pressure than any of the previous maps. How do they deal with that adversity and that pressure?
Was this not the exact same in the SAL playoffs when NIP went up against some less than ideal opponents and still had to go very deep into the night to win out?
They needed something like all but 3 rounds in all of the maps they played in overtime because they could not close out games. And it gets to a point where you can't, like, we can give credit to BDS, and they do deserve it. But it gets to a point where when this keeps happening to Nip over and over and over and over again, it's less about their opponents and more about Nip failing when they need to succeed the most.
All the focus is on that round. If they lose that round, they've let BDS claw their way back, saving 3 match points. The momentum will be with them for sure. Now, my problem with NIP stake right now, as you can see, they are not spending utility or players up top, getting rid of their vert. They get rid of the anchor, that's fine, that's a good way, but the vert is still there, and they will need somehow to find enough smokes and a plant spot that is somewhat not being challenged by the Warden.
Well, with the shield on the back of Khans, he might have the opportunity to sneak it past them.
Listen to all those smokes going off. Smart goggles, smart glasses used by Robbie as he takes a bit of damage, and in this corner, Khan's getting diffuser down. They finally see him, and he gets him in the nick of time. Robbie saves the round. Somebody from Nip will now need to take up the mantle as the case has been dropped in the Lion's Den.
They know where the diffuser is. They have the Valkyrie cam on the bomb site right now. They have the vert as well. Everything, all the win condition is still there, Jesse.
I mean, there's no plan B for NIP. How do you get back to the kid? it and get a successful plant if you couldn't do it with Fuse.
50-50 gunfights, that's really all you can do, right? Try to exploit an opening that isn't already there. Robbie goes down, Virtue too. Pino and Fantasy have the idea. Hates dies though yet again. Suddenly the guns from BDS put a pause on the defuse. Fantasy will pick it up. Surely third time is a charm. Every time this happens, a reset is needed. Nip running out of time. Fantasy being watched. Wizard contesting. Holy shit, they've done it. They send us to overtime.
Three match point, Parker. It's insane the way they denied it. I want to know how many seconds were left on that diffuser. I thought it was going to be planted. They denied it at the very last second. It's crazy. It's a miracle. BDS is still in it, and BDS can still make it to the main stage.
My heart's going a mile a minute. I don't know how these BDS guys are so calm. In that round in particular, you lose your P4 anchor the first death of the round. You lose site control immediately. And a lot of teams, I've seen them in that moment, they start to panic. They drop down the hatch. They move down the stairs. They try to get into the site. But BDS, so composed. Everybody stays up top. They play their impacts to get good lines of sight. They play the Warden to get good lines of sight, see through the smoke, stop that plant, not once, not twice, but 3 times in the bomb sites. And now they've got every bit of momentum in the world.
The first hero, Robbie, denying the first plant, and then Lasmo. Lasmo with a triple kill. Lasmo denies the second plant, then kills the cover, then kills the third attempt to a plant. Lasmo with 13 kills, the young French rookie, proving he deserved a spot on that BDS project. Now 2 rounds away from making it to his first main stage at a major event.
10 seconds left before insertion.
I think there was a bit of skepticism here about Liloon taking more of a backseat. I know we were trying to praise the leadership of that team, but confidence really did come through, and this team has relied on each other. Yeah, there is always bad with the good. Yes, BDS did exceptionally well, but still, Nip makes some mistakes. Now, Nip's called their timeout. It has not been successful at all. During the timeout, by the way, we did get a translation from Maria, and she said that let's go with Blackbeard, let's go with Ace, let's open everything up. They will kill themselves for us. Let's bait out the plant. And they were right. They did over-peak at the beginning. But the plant game was not good for Nip, and they got outfoxed because it was too linear of a take. And now we go to extra innings.
And if you looked at the faces of the NIP player after that round, the deception, the defeat, the resentment, they had 3 match points. They had it in their hands. Who has the momentum right now? BDS has it. And that is going to play a lot in their favor, especially now that they can go back to that top floor that they still haven't lost.
It's not over yet, though, and this is a third opportunity for NIP to get another look at this top floor. Try to adapt, try to get something different going. They've got Pino back on the glass. He's been loving this operator all map long. Operation's a very important part of the map, and they've pushed Fantasy out very quickly. Fantasy has pushed the zombie out very quickly, I should say. Frack is retreating from that position. They start to breach open the walls. BDS cannot get too overconfident just yet. They still have to win 2 rounds in the next 3.
The comeback has happened. At this point, for the 3rd map in a row, BDS has tightened up the game. Nip succeeded in 1 of the 2 times so far. We don't know what the outcome will be here in map number 3, but that comeback on Skyscraper is so impressive, and we could see something even bigger here to send BDS to the main stage.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. They've got less than a minute 30 to work with. They've lost a player that was in observation. They are trying to go for a green take.
And they're falling apart. They're falling apart. Pino's gone ice cold. Fantasy dies first. Hates follows right up. That's your offensive engine. Gone, sputtered out. Wizard is down now too. The motivation, the confidence on the side of Nip evaporated. Now it's BDS with a minute to go. Just narrowing down the HP on Cons and Pino as they watch as their chances go up in literal and proverbial flames.
At the finish line, everything has fallen off the vehicle. Somebody has to make a difference, but what are they to do? They're so strong inside of BDS, fighting every angle. Pino's position is known, and he has no HP. No shot of winning a round like that. BDS have never been in more control.
Look at that hype from the players. Look at everyone. They know they have it in their hands now. Who's got the match point? Not NIP anymore. That's BDS. And that's because NIP was flustered. They were staggering. They were stalling. They had no idea what to do. They tried to change the pace. They tried to change the side of the attack. Nothing worked for them. They left someone in the back and he died instantly. There was no backstab pressure. And after this, nothing. Everything crumbled. Now, BDS, they've got the advantage and they've got the top floor to start working on. I need these guys to step up. I need P4, Robbie. I need these guys to deliver some great calls, and I need a drone close to the bomb site.
I don't want to say that this has been, in my eyes, the most exciting best of 3 that we've seen so far, but I'm going to say it.
I'm feeling it.
I'm feeling it. And it's so good to have you on the cast so that we have yet another person to lose our minds on the mic here, even if you do have a little bit of French bias.
Yeah, do you think that shows?
No. We know it's all love for both these teams. I mean, whoever will come out on top will be the team that deserves it, but NIP, in order to achieve something like that, they've got to find some way to swap the momentum. They've got to find some way to get control of this game. The wheels have fallen off the bus. The engine's been scrapped for parts. They need something to get moving again. It's been so long since they've won a round.
And it's been so long since the first round, and yet what do you see, Jesse? The exact same lineup, the exact same win condition. We're going to play top floor. We're going to have a crossfire towards green, and we're going to use those gas canisters, the fire canisters and the gas grenades to deny the plant. Now, I expect BDS to be able to adapt. They should know of that. They should remember that first round. If that win condition is the denial of the plant, why not bring a shield and why not collapse onto the bomb site?
It's been over half an hour since Ninjas in Pajamas have defended. So you're going to have to settle into an unfamiliar side and hope that you can replicate that same success. Now, both of these teams have been better as defenders. So worst case scenario for BDS, Nip takes it, you swap sides, BDS goes to defense. Things hopefully work out for the French team if you're fans of them. I see some of the expressions on those Nip players' faces, and they look like they have just come home from war, and they did not win.
Well, and they won this bomb site both times they played it in the first half. They are a good team at defending the top floor of Lair, but at the same thing I said in the last round, this is a third opportunity for BDS to make adjustments, to adapt, and I agree 100% with what Alfama said. You're bringing in this blitz now. Virtue's going to be on this operator. The Util clear is excellent from what we're seeing. It feels like they're starting to pick it apart.
Now, that green crossfire that I mentioned, double shotgun, as you can see it, the mute, the smoke in close quarter combat, holding that crossfire here. It's going to be really important to get that information with the floors, getting rid of the barbed wire. Now that push is single-handedly to clear things for the blitz and for Robbie to gain that control.
They've sent Virtue in all on his lonesome. It wasn't too long ago where Virtue's kill tally was nothing to sneeze at, and he's almost drawn even, as almost everybody on the side of BDS has found a much surer footing on the kill front. They had that smoke there with SMG out behind him, and I was worried that they would use utility a bit early. I think that's 2 gas canisters that have been used with still over a minute to go.
1 bathroom, 1 solo window, 2 are gonna push from green, and 1 is gonna backstab for the breach. This is a 5-way spider take from BDS, and they really need a 3-2-1 execute all together, and the kills that go with it.
There's no telling how this is going to go, but it's going to be a fury of kills one way or another, and we'll know right now.
There still might be one more round of this, or so we hope. Blitz leading the way in, Virtue skating around it as the secondary utility's been expended. First domino to potentially fall is P4. Wizard gets on the board, Nip sweeping through BDS, all acting as individuals, and it falls apart. Every 50-50 gunfight breaking for the Brazilians, and we go to all 15 rounds as Nip wins it flawlessly.
Just as we thought they were done, just as we thought BDS had wrapped it up and we were on to map number 3, the final game, BDS or G2 Weibo, not just yet. One more round needed between these two Titans, and I believe I did say at 1-1, smelled like 15.
What a game, and what a prediction from you, Jesse. You said you don't have a big nose, you have a good nose, and that one that can smell the right things. Well, you smelled it, and I think I see it as well. The 15th round, loads of pressure for these two teams, so much at stake right now. Not only the main stage, also SI chances as well, improving drastically if you make it and advance to being top 8 at the Munich Major.
It's one thing to lose. It's entirely something different to lose if you're BDS at this point. Nip has been in control of every map once we hit the 2/3 mark. The moment we hit round 10, it's been Nip in charge of Clubhouse, of Skyscraper, now here on Lair. Every time it's been Nip who's kind of stumbled. BDS just keep having to battle adversity after adversity after adversity.
And they choose bunks to go there. Wow. The one bomb site that they lost once and then won once. The one bomb site where we've said it times and times again. Everything is played on that top floor. And this time, the Warden is here, but that's the only denial. A weird new setup that we haven't seen so far.
I mean, we listened to the TAC timeout right before round 12, right? We listened to what the plan was for NIP. They thought, okay, BDS are going to beat themselves. We can just rush the site. That didn't work. Surely now NIP can just go back to their very first take in round number 9 when they spent all 5 of their players to push that top floor. BDS need to be ready for that. They cannot just anticipate NIP doing the same thing that they did that lost.
If I remember well, when they defended against that, BDS had brought the Clash, they had brought the Mira, they had brought operators that were supposed to make the top floor stronger.
Yeah.
Now, look at this setup. You see a Castle, you see a Valkyrie, you see Jäger. That screams extension to me. That screams trying to make that top floor even bigger and trying to hold it as much as possible. And that is the extension that we mentioned. That is Robbie in green stairs with 3 ADSs, the Castle, the barbed wires, and the Kiba barrier, trying to make that top floor clear even harder.
It's a big focus on green. It means that like the actual top floor extending over towards office might be a little bit trickier to hold on to, but if you do give up that very top floor, it's going to be okay. You've got more angles to fight back for it as well.
Gentlemen, while this might be the end of the road, I speak for probably everybody watching this and say, I'd love unlimited OT here. Give me more.
Reloading ammo.
This is a do-or-die moment for both of these teams, so evenly matched. A spot on the main stage awaits one of these teams, the other a flight home. It has been a dogfight between teams that were counted out in their regions, living in the shadows of bigger foes. And now only one of them in the next minute and 40 seconds will be able to make it into the top 8.
I can feel the pressure. I feel like I'm even more pressure than the players inside that game. I feel like the tension is at an all-time high. These two teams have been battling for so long, trying to problem solve that green stairs player has been the real trick for NIP. The adaptation goal by BDS right now is causing so many problems on the side of NIP. They did not anticipate that. Look at that before, it's still lurking. They have no clue about the win conditions set up by BDS. What a call, what a strategy.
A lucky shot from Cons onto Robbie. If he ego challenges this, can be the undoing of this BDS offsite play. There goes Frack. Robbie is gone as well. Fantasy, out of nowhere, dominates in the mid-round. 1 minute to go. Nip with a huge advantage, and a third almost to be had as P4 goes for the peak, all assembled by the breach and by the bomb site. Where are these last 3 players from BDS? An impressive comeback, but it looks like now it's BDS's turn to stumble at the finish line. Virtue and Lasmo as all that remains for BDS, a triumphant comeback, but there's so much more to be done and no weaknesses here for Nip just yet. Virtue in his position, finished off by Cons, and Lasmo will sit and watch as BDS's hopes and dreams crumble. 2 flawlessly won rounds by ninjas in pajamas. Heartbreak for BDS, and it's Nip up to the main stage. BDS to go home.
Fantasy is known for having one of the craziest 1v5s in Siege history years ago on Theme Park, but that might have just topped it for the best game that he has played. The most important round, cracked it open like an egg. He's the difference maker. He's the hero.
It starts like it ended, with Fantasy finding the right gap and getting a multi-kill. They can be proud of that player, picked up from W7M Academy only 1.5 years ago. Props to P4, props to BDS, props to these guys, fighting as much as they could, never giving up, fighting for so many match points and bringing it back.
There always has to be a loser, but in my eyes, BDS, they're not losers. This could have gone either way. One more game remains, but we're going to want to hear what everybody seems to think about that matchup in just a few minutes.
NIP is in the playoffs and they were screaming a lot. Now I want to hear from you, Fantasy, who has been a beast in this major and also in SAL. Well, how does it feel to be such a great player and to be part of the NIP new history? The last major was in 2021 and now you are in the Munich in the playoffs.
Então, a gente jogou meio mal essa partida ainda, entregamos vários rounds ali, mas a gente conseguiu ali quando eles fizeram o round do overtime ali, eu tava sempre botando o time pra cima, falando que dava pra ganhar, que a gente ia conseguir ganhar, e pra ter cabeça, que o jogo é muito mental, muito mais que qualquer coisa.
We played not so well. We gave out some rounds, but I was there like trying to lift the team up, and because it's all the mental health, and we know we can play more. And also, NIP had a lot of problems earlier. So how was the plan to just be a team again, to play as a unit, and to have the game back on your?
Então, a gente teve que jogar muito como um time, assim, fazer as execuções de play muito setadas, assim, muito timado, então, tipo, tudo no mesmo time, numa sincronia, que acabou que faltou uma sincronia pra gente no Skyscraper, faltou uma sincronia pra gente ganhar alguns rounds ali, dava pra gente ter fechado 2-0 esse jogo, mas que bom que a gente conseguiu ainda dentro do jogo, não precisou perder pra aprender, né?
Yeah, exatamente. Yeah, we were out of sync in Skyscraper, so we had to learn how to adapt. E nesse caso eu te pergunto, como que vocês conseguiram adaptar? Alguma coisa foi falada? How did you adapt, in fact? How was the conversation?
O Dan nos paus ali tava sempre tentando botar a gente na linha ali, falando pra gente ficar confiante e tal, e às vezes dava esporro quando precisava, mas acho que a gente, sei lá, focou ali nos últimos rounds que precisava, também a gente mostrou que a gente é melhor, e foi isso, a gente é melhor que os caras mesmo.
We are better than them, and we really focused on playing like a team in the end of the rounds. And Dan, which is the coach, was really there to just remind us and give some like puxão de orelha. I don't remember how to say that in English, but to fight with us a little bit to argue about our gameplay that was not really good. But congratulations, parabéns, Fantasy, mandaram muito.